everybody! This is our RWBY Volume 7 discussion, analysis, review for episode 12. So, like all of the streams, I need to make sure that YouTube recognizes that we're actually streaming. Who knew?
They won't see this for a while unless you are a Patreon, but I made a joke at the beginning of our reaction.
Yes.
It was like, we're here, we're queer, we're full of fear. That ended up being more accurate
than anything.
than like any of the nonsense we have been spitting for the past week, waiting for this episode
it really was a moment. Like, you did that, Hunter. Like, you did that.
There
right?
was several moments in that episode, and we're gonna go to them.
Yes, we are. But first, okay, so the stream is up. Wait, why are you guys so early? We're not early.
This
we're
is
on
technically
time.
on
This
time.
is when we're supposed to stream. Okay, so can you guys only hear us? If that makes sense, like, you guys don't hear any feedback, you guys don't hear any, like, nonsense, does that make sense? Like, you guys are all good audio-wise, just because we have had some issues with the audio. You know what's funny? If you turn down OBS's sound, for some reason you can't hear us anymore, even though the mic input shouldn't be affected by that. So, yeah, as long as you guys can all hear, we're all good. Our reaction is up for patrons, right? And all that stuff. Ironwood, we captured Tyrion, Watts, and subdued the Grim. Marvelous. Salem, all according to Kate Cocker. Ironwood, Nani, thank you for the $5 donation, Luca Blight. Yeah, so Ironwood was like, yeah, we got Tyrion, we got Watts, everything's fine. Tyrion is not. Okay, so I want to go over some general things, okay, before we actually start doing this analysis.
By that, you mean Ironwood? That's a pun. Anyways, continue.
Oh, some general... Okay, yeah, so we'll talk about sort of this in general. I cannot believe that we only have 2 episodes left, like right when we were getting used to... No, I mean like this one and...
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like we only have 2 episodes left, the one that happened this week, which we've already seen, right? And then next week, like it's already over. Guys, it's already fucking over. Can you believe that? Like, we just got into it. We just got into the rhythm.
I mean, it
right?
does and it doesn't, because when you remember, it was last year. So, like, we were both in last semester when this show started.
Yeah, I know, but
when you
still,
but
like...
then also, like, it feels like it's gone so fast. But it also hasn't. And regardless, I don't want it to end.
I wish I had a little stand for my phone just so I could read the chat.
Just
duct tape, put it on the microphone. Yeah. So if you guys see me looking down, it's me
gun.
looking at the chat and all that stuff. Okay. So yeah, hiatus is gonna suck hard. Yes, chat. Hiatus is gonna suck badly. Like, oh my god, what are we gonna do?
This is gonna be the worst hiatus since, like, volume 3.
It is, because it's gonna continue, right?
Yeah.
Like, Atlas is 2 volumes, so they can't, like, wrap all this shit out. It's not like, you know, it's not like volume 6 where it's like, oh, we're in Atlas now, like, you know, this is the end of the arc, because, like, there was them traveling, right? And so the traveling came to a close. Atlas itself is not coming to a close. If anything, Atlas just got broken wide open. That's how I feel anyway. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna feel a lot, because, like, Volume 3 felt like, oh shit, this got real, and now I gotta wait a year. Back in the day.
That's how I feel about this
And
now.
so, yeah, because everything changed, our heroes were shattered to the wind, and I feel like we're gonna get...
Shattered to the wind.
Scattered to the wind. We're gonna get, I think, a similar sensation from this one. Plus, we don't have Genlock immediately after, like, last year.
As far as we know, they have been so quiet on Genlock, like, they haven't said anything.
The Twitter account for Genlock's active again.
Yeah, but it was sort of on and off active. Like, if somebody posts a cosplay, they'll retweet it. Like, okay, so I'm assuming the person that does the RWBY Twitter and the Genlock Twitter are the same, and that they're just like, why don't we do Genlock sometime? You know what I'm saying? It's the same, like, poor intern that has to figure out what to do with the social media account. Yeah, so that's that. I do want to talk about 2 things, though. The Blake thing. So if you guys saw on Twitter, right, there was a graphic from Crunchyroll that last year, basically, or the year before, I should say, Volume 5, there was a graphic where the W was sliced open, and that is the episode where Weiss got stabbed, right? And so that was sort of the foreshadowing,
more impaled, but, you know,
whatever.
Tomatoes, tomatoes.
Right, and so now Crunchyroll has another graphic where Weiss gets cut off a little bit, and Blake got...
dissected.
Dissected, I guess, like, part of the B. So people are like, is Blake gonna lose a leg? Is Weiss gonna lose an ear? Like, all that stuff.
And I was concerned because Blake gets her shit kicked in this
Blake
episode.
Blake got beat this episode.
So I was like, oh my god, is she gonna lose a leg? Are we gonna have, like, another Jin moment of prediction here?
Yeah, I'm sort of wondering now, like, is it gonna happen this season or next season? Because, I don't know. Like, were they just trying to stir up the fandom or something? Because they did it intentionally the first time. So why, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
They've done that before in Volume 3, famously Pyrrha dies, and in the opening, Pyrrha's the first one of them falling in the hoop to fly off.
So I'm like, what do you guys think?
So they've sprinkled in some, like, death.
Do you guys think that that is still
Easter
something
eggs
that is
before.
going to happen? I'm just looking at the chat to see what you guys are saying. Like, do you guys think that the Blake thing is still going to happen at this point? Because, okay, like, the animator who said the next episode we're going to birth, pretty sure that was about Tyrion. Now,
Yeah,
like, pretty sure that was about Tyrion and his thumb
Clover.
breaking and all of that stuff. I mean, the Clover thing wasn't vomit-inducing. Seeing Tyrion's, like, loose finger, like, that was gross. That was terrible.
Unless the B stood for, like, bromance or Bronwyn, I don't think.
But what would the W be then? Winter? You know what I mean? It's a fake out. Because I'm thinking, okay, so I'm thinking for the Weiss one, maybe like instead, like I like the ear thing for some reason, which is like morbid, but I was thinking like for the Weiss getting cut off a little bit, it will be more of an emotional blow. Like that blow will be losing Winter if Winter does die next episode, right? And so that's that. Yes. And then the B could have. I don't know. I think the B's still for Blake. I just don't know what'll happen to her yet. So yeah. I think that, yeah, Blake's gonna get badly injured. Do you guys think we have time for that next episode? Like,
I mean,
I don't know.
That could be like a pretty bad. I mean, that would once again it would be like Volume 3.
Yeah.
Where it would be like we don't know what
some
how
people
Yang's
think
gonna
the
do.
Lake thing is still on the nose. The B could have been Branwen. Yeah, that's what. Like, I was sort of like, what if it means? I don't know. What if it means Crow? What if it doesn't mean Crow? I don't know. But yeah, that Crunchyroll graphic is still concerning me, but I don't know if we have time for injuries, you know, next episode. Maybe we do. Maybe we do have time.
Well, when did Yang lost her arm?
Against Adam, and that was
10 or 11.
3 episodes before the ending?
Because, no, it wasn't the last episode. It might have been the second last.
Yeah, because Juniper is heading towards Neo. Like, so what's going to happen with, you know what I mean? Like, what position could Team RWBY be in that she'd get her leg cut off? That's what I'm saying. The breaking of the Branwen, yeah.
Boyfriend? Is that what the B stands for?
Oh god, anyway, we'll talk about that.
Because we got rid of that.
We'll talk about that. So yeah, while Hunter's looking that up, here's the other thing I want to talk about, okay? I'm gonna fucking go off on a little bit of a rant here, okay? And so Hunter's busy. I'm gonna go off on one a little bit.
And I've also heard this one before.
And he's heard this already. So people commented on our reaction that we released today, like, oh, it's so obvious Cal's seen this episode before because she knew after 5 seconds of singing that Caleb, I can't remember his last name. I'm sorry, Caleb, like the singer guy that did the collab with Casey. Please go off, Cal. Yeah, that did the collab with Casey was the one singing. And I was just like, are you guys fucking idiots? Yeah.
When I look up what episode did Lang lose, the second suggestion is lose her baby.
Yang lose her baby? Maybe that's another anime?
I'm guessing a different show.
Did you type RWBY?
Lose her baby.
Yeah. Yang did not lose her baby, guys. Yeah, Caleb Hales? Is that how you say his name? Yeah. So the guy that did the collaboration with Casey. Somebody was like, oh, it's so clear that Cal's just faking her reaction. She's watched the episode before because of that. And I was just like, can you go fuck yourself? Like, what do you mean? It just seemed
He has a very
ridiculous. He has
voice.
a very familiar voice. He, like, just did a collab with Casey a couple months ago, and that people have been, like, re-listening to that, you know, I think for the duration of the volume. So I found that 11, pretty...
So it was the previous episode if we're doing, like, one-to-one.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I found that pretty dumb, because I was just like, you guys think that we're faking our reaction just so I can be like, oh, guys, like, look at how impressed you could be with me to identify this singer, that I feel like anyone could do that, you know what I mean? Like, I have a very strong musical ear, and so if it was like, you know, if it was Caleb, or if it was like people said Pelik, who's like, I don't want to say the screamo guy, but he transforms the songs into heavy metal, or if it was like Amalie or like Jubyphonic, like, I don't know, they're just popular YouTube people, I would have identified that anyway. And so yeah, I know that you guys believe we're not faking, but that makes me so, like, what would be the point?
It was 2 people too, it wasn't just one
and
weirdo.
So that person, I was like, really, like what? Like, what are you talking about?
Because it's so much effort. Like,
exactly.
It's harder to act than it would be to look genuine when it's genuinely happening. It would be more effort.
I'm so
and
annoyed
because
I'm like, do you guys not believe that I know enough about sort of the community stuff to identify? Because Caleb did the collab with Casey, so why wouldn't we know him? He has such a distinct sort of voice. You know what I mean? So I was just like, I side-eyed that, and somebody else was like, yeah, Calxiyn's totally seen this reaction, or seen the episode before, because she guessed that the Grim was in the bag, and that, like, Salem would say something about Ruby's mom, and I was like, yeah, but those are predictable things. Like, I don't know how to explain this. I don't want to be like, everybody's stupid if they didn't get it, right? But they had focus on the bag, and Watts carried around a seer.
Oh, the bag was obvious.
The bag was so obvious. Even Hunter gets that,
something
right?
was gonna happen. The line, sometimes it just happens where you can guess a line.
Yeah.
The thing is that you mentioned this previously as well when we were just talking. We have a bias.
Yeah, and so here's the thing about the lines. Like, if you guys have watched our other reactions, that's what bothers me. If you guys have watched Avatar or Code Geass, I do that all the time. And I'm not always exactly word for word correct, but it happens, right? If you watch enough of these shows, you start to get sort of the formulation. And I don't think it's that hard.
You were word for word with Salem that time either. You were pretty close, though.
Yeah, and so it's sort of like, or I remember the Avatar episode where I was like, oh no, Hunter, like, the Azula's gonna disguise herself as the Kyoshi Warriors, and you were just sitting there like, ugh, like, and all that stuff. Like, it just happens. Yeah, and so I'm just like, I'm not saying, like, oh, you know, if you guys didn't get it, you're dumb. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that those are very easy things to sort of identify.
Also,
right?
We're wrong
you know what I mean?
all the fucking time. You'd think our batting average would be higher if we were cheating.
Yeah, and so that's sort of funny because we talked about this in psychology this week in class, right? Because I'm doing that as a professionally related sort of course of psychology, right? And so our teacher was saying that his wife is convinced that the dog is pooping by trash cans at the park on purpose to make her life easier. And our teacher was basically explaining a concept. I don't remember exactly what it's called. I think it's kind of confirmation bias, but it's like, you only remember the times that the dog poops by the trash can because that makes it easier for you. And then you're like, oh, thank you, dog. And it confirms what you already think. But all the times that it doesn't poop by the trash can, you don't even think about, right? So it's like, we have been wrong a lot. You know what I mean? And I'm not afraid to admit that.
You're focusing on when we were right.
Exactly. And so that's sort of, I don't know, that's just sort of weird. Like, if you're convinced that we're faking our reactions, you're only finding every instance that we're right. Not when we said Hazel was going to be a werewolf, okay? Not when we said that Oscar was gonna, like, commit suicide. Like, you know what I mean?
Or that Neo kidnapped Oscar and, you know, poisoned the casserole.
Yes, heuristics, yeah. Bias heuristics, yeah. But yeah, anyway. So that just pissed me off a little bit, because, like, for two people to think that, I was just like... Plus, didn't you have an audition? How would you have seen the episode? That was the other thing. I was at a Disney audition all day, but I said that at the beginning of the reaction, so I was just
Listen, they weren't paying a lot of attention. Also, no one goes after me when I guessed that, like, May was trans because I recognized Katie's voice.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. And so, like, I don't know what it is.
I think you mentioned this earlier, and I think you were right that people are going off of, like, the fake fan. Like, people will attack you.
That's how I feel a little bit, and that's why it pissed me off. Because, like, Hunter gets stuff right, and nobody's like, wow, Hunter must have watched the episode, but it's like, if I, like, oh, guys, it's illegal to listen to singers now. Like, it's, you know what I mean? You know, it's just weird, because I'm just like, do you guys not believe that I'm intelligent enough, or that I have that sort of...
Or just got lucky,
you know, or just even got lucky? Like, I don't understand.
You have an ear for that?
Well, with the Caleb thing, that really bothered me, because I'm like, guys, I've been doing singing lessons for 12 years. Like, Hunter can play the beginning of, like, pretty much any, like, song that I've heard before, and in the 5 seconds, I'm like, that's from Pocahontas! You know what I mean?
We have done that.
We've done
not
that
for a video because ads, but
yeah.
Oh boy.
You know, monetization.
We don't want to get sued by 15 different people.
But yeah, so that just bothered me. It's just like, I have a very strong musical ear, so I felt personally insulted. Like, the stuff with the bag, like, fuck that, whatever, like, you know what I mean? It's just, the fact that, like, oh, Cal, you identified the singer, you must have watched the episode before, and just, like, look. And so, yeah. And so that's everything. I just wanted to get that out of my system.
We're how many minutes in and we haven't moved to a single slide?
We have not. But yeah, I mean, the chat was getting here anyway. I wanted to make sure that everybody got in because we are sort of, you know.
It's a warm-up.
Yeah, it's a warm-up. We gotta get warmed up for the episode.
It's like the post-show or the pre-show rant.
Exactly. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody could get into the discussion and knew it was happening. So we were probably gonna spend some time. That's why I started with, like, the Blake stuff. I just wanted to make sure that people could, like, get in the chat. Okay, so now that we have all of that sorted out, this was awkward, right? And so, Robin and Crow just look at each other and they're like, what? I'm sure the general understands the enormity of his. So here's what I think is funny, okay? So Ironwood is not trying to arrest Robin. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because he wants to try and get Robin on his side. Yeah. Whereas with Team RWBY, he knows that they won't side with him. They're a lost cause. You know what I'm saying? And... Team RWBY's a lost cause. When you say it like that, that's kind of...
I also like how they have all their, these look like passport pictures.
Yeah, I mean, this is their huntsman license pictures, right?
Yeah.
And so Robin, right, I think they wanted the Happy Huntresses to side, because Robin's not out for arrest, so you sort of wonder why in Ironwood's sort of thought process on that.
He's turning on, and you'd think because he has more of a history of, I guess, anonymity with Robin, but he's going against his friends. But he's just like, well,
that's fine. Like, Robin's not up for arrest, so, we'll just let her go. And you see how in touch Clover is with the law. I was wrong, by the way. Really wrong. Like, I was like, Clover's loyalty is to Atlas. Don't worry, everyone. No, his loyalty is to Ironwood.
We were mostly...
We were wrong about Marrow helping. Marrow. Like, it was kind of bad. I'm glad we didn't bet actual money, because I was so...
You were like $100.
I was so convinced. I was like, $100 on Marrow stopping Aesop and letting them run away.
I could have $100.
I don't have $100.
That's the other thing, is that I'm not gonna bet money. I know it's like, you're great. Now you're not gonna see Arnold now because you owe me $100.
So yeah, I mean,
guess who's not going to RTX?
I was so convinced that Marrow would help them and that Clover was, because the law, like, the country is not the same as the person leading the country. Like, you can be loyal to Canada without being loyal to the Prime Minister. That's a weird one, I guess. But you know what I mean? And so when we saw that card on the RWBY Twitter, I assume, that was a hint. It was not a hint.
Card might have
See, guys, we get stuff wrong all the time. And so, it happens. I didn't expect Robin to get hurt, though. And it's so funny. I don't know if I can find this for you guys, but you know what's hilarious? So, Arnold was teaching me how to make better thumbnails, which is how we've gotten the thumbnails here. And so, I made a thumbnail just as a test, right? And so Arnold was like, okay, grab, any picture, just, do whatever, right? And the picture was of Robin, and we had Robin's fate. And Arnold was like, oh, this thumbnail is so spicy. I wish you could actually make a video about this. And I was like, well, I don't have anything to say about Robin's fate. I don't think that anything's gonna happen.
My ass.
And so, I think I posted that on Twitter, so you guys can see the Robin's fate thumbnail, but it was never used for a video, because I didn't think that anything bad would happen to her.
Well, shit, I don't know.
So that
Can
was
you
awkward.
Predict any bad things happening to Robin right now?
I mean,
because
she's
because I don't know if it's looking great for anyone.
I mean, the police are coming, right? So they'll help her,
and probably
they'll help
Crow
her.
Up.
She's probably just unconscious in a coma, internally bleeding. She'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
If anything, we should have a Fate of Crow thumbnail.
Yeah,
because we're gonna talk about that in a separate video.
And so, I love Tyrion. Okay, I was so we made a video way back when about Tyrion being annoying and how we were kind of getting tired of him. They totally fixed him. He's so good. Tyrion is so good, guys.
Even when he does terrible things in this episode, I can't help but at least be like, he's got style, goddammit.
I love this.
He's enjoying it so much. I think that's what it is. He's enjoying it so much.
Because that's what he says that. He's like, Mercury and Emerald, take it from me. I love how you lifted your shoulder. Take it from me, okay? You have to enjoy what you do, or else you won't be happy. And he loves
you'll never work a day in
it.
your life. Look at me. I'm 73.
Yeah. The only thing that bothered me about this episode is I'm like, did they forget that Crow can turn into a bird? And flutter off away. Because I think next episode, if he's smart, he'll turn into a bird and evade the authorities with his scythe, because that's a murder weapon, right? How does that work? When Crow turns into a bird, where does the scythe go?
Is it like, well, I mean, it's magic, so maybe...
Running might make it worse. I don't think so, though, because if the cops don't see him, they could just assume that Tyrion did it, even though there is a crow-sized hole in Clover. But if Clover leaves with the murder weapon, they don't have any evidence, guys. CSI 101, okay?
And, Robin would probably, also tell Crow, like, yeah, like, Tyrion got loose and crashed the
Exactly.
vehicle.
Robin can tell them the truth unless...
But he's
What
already...
if she has, like, amnesia or something after she comes out of the coma?
But I also understand Crow not wanting to trust the people who are out for his arrest for no good reason. Like, there's really no jurisprudence of that.
Yeah. Yeah, Robin is there, so
like,
she
Crow
could
did
do it,
nothing wrong. Like, maybe you could say that, technically speaking, Blake and Yang... lied or committed treason.
They could get Tyrion's fingerprints on the weapon, alright?
Yeah.
CSI, everything's okay, yeah. But yeah, he can't just show everyone he can turn into a bird. I know, I'm just saying that,
this is what you
especially
do.
when the plane crashed, I'm like, listen, everybody had their backs turned, they wouldn't have noticed, okay? It's fine. But yeah, I feel like that they'll just, Clover's on the ground dead. Clover, oh my god, Crow will turn into a bird and, like, skedaddle.
I feel like we want to talk about the Clover stuff so much, we're jumping over everything else.
I know, I'm saying in general, what bothered me was the bird stuff. But no, Tyrion is spicy. Like, Tyrion's such a good character now.
He went from being pretty boring in Volume 4 to just, like, being my favorite kind of...
Exactly!
Yeah, he's so much fun. Alert for Ruby's arrest.
I like how they say Team Ruby's arrest instead of, like, Ruby and Juniper. He's just like, fuck those
Juniper,
kids.
and that Oscar kid, and I guess you, old man.
Yeah, you know?
And I also like that he's trying to do this non-violently, at least at first. Yeah. Eventually, he starts making mistakes, and
look at this face! Christina V. Like, I don't know, I love her voice acting, and I love her, like, this is the whole thing. People always, like, underestimate her, you know what I mean? Or, like, look down on her, like Jacques and, like, all that sort of stuff. Like, she's tired of it, man.
I thought you were talking about the actress Christina V and not Robin.
I'm saying Robin. I'm saying, like, this is a very, like, you can see Christina V's expression in Robin's face. I don't know how to explain that, but if you've seen her voice actors before and her hair and all that stuff, like, you guys can see, like, Ironwood sort of was like, Robin, all of that stuff. Jacques looked down on her like she's tired of being looked down on. At the same time, Clover disarms her pretty easily, but I do like this face. I do like this scene.
I dig it quite a lot.
Yeah, this episode was crazy,
I'm kind of upset with
guys.
how quickly Robin gets her ass beat in this.
Yeah.
You get the impression that, like, Crow and Clover
but it could
up
be
here
good luck,
and Robin's down here.
Right?
I guess that's also true.
Because he cut it out, both of you. We're almost back to Atlas. Let's talk to James personally.
Could you argue that Clover eventually getting a sword in his spine was a manifestation of Crow's bad luck?
Maybe. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I really like how Tyrion sort of turns them against each other in a sense, and they're not thinking right. But yeah, so I can't tell exactly where the bullet went. I think it's over there. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, he whacked it out with his fishing
rod.
So
so he, he's trained to disarm people. Right? You know what I mean? Like, he's like the police, so I'm not surprised that he was able to do this, but...
Knock her down.
Look at this face. Anyway.
Should have used that thumbnail.
I like how he's like, fine. And so, yeah,
I so did not see this
Neither did I! I thought that Clover would be like, we have to do what's best for the kingdoms.
Or I thought he would seem more... I mean, he did say, I wish it hadn't come to this, but... I don't know, man.
I'm kind of like, I think, here's the thing, though, okay? I feel like the community has gone through a roller coaster. Like, at the beginning, everyone was like, Clover's a Chad, we hate him, he's a jerk, he's gonna die, like, all these people, and he did die. So we'll talk about that part later.
I guess eventually our predictions about him being a terrible person, or at least a major fuck-up, were eventually right.
Because we didn't say that he would be evil or whatever. We just said that he would be a fuck-up or a fuckboy. And,
maybe we were right.
Yeah, and so I think it's funny because, and so this is I guess a different topic, but I had people harassing me over on Twitter.com because we made theories about the Aesops dying and about Crow dying and how I, hate gay people because we're saying that Crow's gonna die and whatever. And so I'm like, listen, guys, we just had a theory. Don't shoot the messenger. It happened, all right? You know what I mean? That was also happening to Kaito Dan, too. Like, Kaito Dan was getting harassed by people that were sort of saying the same thing. And I'm like, guys, listen, when we theorize, it's not because we have a personal vendetta against the character. You know what I mean? We had a theory, but because of that sort of stuff that was happening on Twitter, I sort of dropped the Aesop dying stuff because I was kind of tired of what people were saying, right? But then it happened anyway.
Howdy
Because
doody.
we had
Look,
the
we were
theory
right.
that either all the Aesops would die except Clover, or that Clover would die and leave the rest of the Aesops, because there's 5 Aesops. There can only be...
Oh, I guess we were right about that.
Yeah, exactly.
High
so
five!
We were right about that. We did
We were
theorize
also,
that, right?
we were also, guess, right about him being a traitor in the sense
Kind
that
of. He's
he
betraying Crow, in a sense, you know? And so, everyone was a traitor, right? Like, we had a theory that one person would be the traitor. Like, no. Like, the Aesops betrayed
There was
Team
the traitor
RWBY,
theory that they
right?
were on the side of Watts, and then there was the theory that they would be with Ironwood against RWBY. And
then,
the second one turned out to be right.
and then there was, like, the whole thing, like, Team RWBY, in a sense, betrayed Ironwood, and, like, everyone was the traitor. That's why I called that video, you get a traitor, and you get a traitor, and you get a traitor, because everyone was.
I really hope that
you know
Crow and Watts, if Watts is still alive, have a same cell together, and then Watts...
What if that's the thing? Like,
and then
because
Watts
we had a
turns
theory.
around and it's just like, oh, you also tried to kill your boyfriend who was in the Atlas military, and Crow's like, I succeeded. And it's just like, well, I got a lot of his body parts, if that makes you feel better.
Oh boy, no.
I
I thought you were gonna say, because I had the theory that, like, Watts would be in a cell, and then Team RWBY would be in a cell, which is not gonna happen. Maybe Crow will be in the cell, but it's like, Watts will be like, you need me to defeat James, because here's the thing. So we'll talk about this later again. At the very end of this episode, Crow basically says Ironwood's gonna pay for this.
Yeah.
Ironwood will take the fall. So what if, because Crow is already fine working with Tyrion, what if Crow's in a cell and Watts is like, knock, 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 we both hate James, he made you lose your boyfriend, like, why not? And Crow will be like, so,
That
Crow.
could really, and yeah.
But is Watts alive? We had a whole theory on that
Watch
other
the
day.
video now.
So, watch
Leave
the
the light.
video now. Yeah. Watch this video first and then go watch that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, Watts being alive is sort of it, because he, like, this is my argument, right? Ironwood said Tyrion was stopped. Watts was stopped. Not Tyrion was stopped and Watts I killed. You know what I mean? I killed Watts, right?
We don't
like,
see the body is another thing.
yeah. And, like, I don't know. I feel like they wouldn't...
Also, it's assumed that, like, stuff happened between him, whatever happened with Watts.
Because
he got
his
bandaged
arm
up.
fixed, right?
So he could have, like, just kicked the crap out of him and threw him in solitary.
Yeah, everyone is the traitor.
You know who's even a traitor?
We'll
the
talk
person
about the
watching
bury
this
your gay
video
stuff
right
later,
now.
Maxwell. I
That
do
might
see
be
it
its
being talked in
own
the chat.
video.
We'll briefly go over it just because I know that you guys probably want us to talk about it.
Because it's a discussion, and I think it's a valid discussion, but yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
I really dig her weapon, even though that would
You
be
can
such
hug
a
it out
thing.
once you're taking it down. I thought that was funny.
It does not happen like that.
So, is this bad luck or good luck? Because this seems
it's bad luck for everyone involved.
Because, like, Clover's semblance doesn't seem to be working, because he's the one who freed Tyrion.
Also, they're fighting, trying to kill each other. Someone's still driving.
Yeah, so I thought that during... Okay, so Hunter and I were watching the episode, and...
When I was watching it, it was like, it's just like when you're Uber, like, you're an
Hunter
Uber driver and
I were
everyone in
watching
your
the
car is
episode,
drunk.
And
Like, it's
let me try to
insane.
go back. So you can see... Okay, and Tyrion kills the pilot later, so we know that they're...
Yeah.
I
Well,
hate that
someone's
it's not
driving it.
panning over to the pilot. Hello? I don't want to go... Yeah, see? Okay, there's a pilot right here. And so Hunter and I were thinking, right? And I was saying, like, while we were rewatching and getting the screenshots, I was like, this pilot is just listening to this and not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's a robot, but I'm assuming it's a person. So I'm like, this person is just like, oh, like, maybe should I call someone on the radio or something? You know what I mean? Like, he has no concern. He's not like, maybe I should call for backup. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. Like, no, this man is silent. This man does not give a fuck. He's just trying to drive his plane and get on with his life.
This man is silent. This man does not give a fuck.
I think there's two. Yeah, there's a soldier,
that's a robot.
and then there's a robot, and then there's a pilot. And so I'm just like, dude, like, I can't believe this pilot wasn't like, there's hello,
we got a
like
615 boyfriends fighting in the pit.
There's some shit going on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why. Even quietly, like, just be like, hey, we may need
What's
some
a
backup over here.
1749? An airborne domestic? Oh man.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised that pilot was just like, nah, like, I'm not gonna get involved in this, even though it's like, there's the prisoners, and then there's Robin, and there's Crow, they're all fighting. Like, you'd think he would be like, calling back to Atlas home base, we're
maybe
gonna
that's
some
why
backup.
that other plane came, because like
Maybe.
when like
but
they were going
it
down.
would have been funny if it cut from them and then this pilot whispering under his breath. Maybe they just didn't want to make the model. I don't know. But yeah, that would have been kind of funny. Like, so yeah.
He's just slumped over. You never really see his face.
This man has been
Or
like
if it's a
suffocated or something. Like, I don't know what happened to him.
It even looks like a ponytail even. So yeah, kind of.
Oops, I didn't mean to go in on Crow's
I
pecs
love
right
that
there.
that he would take the hat.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I
this
love
was
how
the
he's
best.
sitting.
This
This needs to be a meme. Go back to the scene where it's.
Hold on. I just wanted to see something. So he.
Because when the.
Okay, so he gets out, and then he probably strangled that guy then.
Probably.
With the, like sort of like
yes,
that.
to
You know what
demonstrate.
I mean? I just wanted them to understand what I
Oh
meant.
yeah, garrote him. I got you. It also kind of looks like he just thumped him.
Yeah, so maybe the pilot's had a headset on. He's wearing AirPods.
I feel like
oh my God, he has AirPods.
Here. There's text here. There's text over there. There's text
You're
there.
saying that this is a
it's
meme,
a perfect
but how?
meme.
But what's the meme?
So I'm just like, it's like, I don't know, me. Whatever that inconvenience your life. The consequences of that inconvenience.
Okay.
Me procrastinating on YouTube. My dying social life.
Or
I don't know.
something
Something
like
a lot. There's the
Or it's
ingredients
like
are there.
me, the exam, and then my grades, like something like that.
Me, the Pickering Power Nuclear Station, radiation. Me after I've been radiated.
Oh,
it's
God.
the sort of thing.
Oh my God, we made so many memes after the nuclear thing went up. God. If you guys don't know, a couple weeks ago, or I think it was last Sunday, the nuclear power plant basically sent out a false message saying that we were all gonna die. Basically, right? Sort
It wasn't
of.
that
It
we're
didn't
all
say
gonna
that.
die, but that's what people got from
Right,
it.
and so like
People
it was
panicked.
like the thing that happened to Hawaii. If you guys like, sort of
Oh no,
understand.
Hawaii was worse.
Oh, worse, yeah, but it's similar. I'm just using something as a comparison so they understand it. I was like, guys, like, if I die in the nuclear thing, like, it's been great. Thanks for letting me into your fandom community. Like, I was so, like, distraught. But then I made some memes of, like, Blake and
Running
then running away from the nuclear power. Yeah.
I love that hat.
I love he's wearing that. I just love
Just
it.
that he's
so
like
much.
so goofy, and he's evil, but he's goofy, and he's like, I
He's
like that hat.
Just like, what the fuck are you doing?
My goddess's wishes, and I love the chaotic energy
I
he's
know.
giving. Like crash a plane.
He doesn't even care.
Crash a plane for the waifu.
this guy's
it is
dead
a soldier.
too.
That
Yeah.
maybe actually looks like more like
Can
a soldier. I don't know. It looks like a bunch of random numbers.
Yeah, that's too bad. But yeah, like, oh my God,
Like,
this is great.
what?
You can just see. And I love Clover, how he
Jumps
opens
out.
the door to jump out, but Robin got fucking wrecked.
Yes. But I don't think we got it on the subtitles, but he yells like, "For my queen!" And I love that.
No, he said, "For the will of our goddess."
Yeah, for the will of our goddess.
We
I
got
just
it.
love that.
See?
Yes, that's when he says it.
I love
Yeah.
all of his lines. All of his lines are just so great. Yeah, so Clover, and see, this is a parallel, guys. It's like when Clover jumped out of the plane and Crow called him a show-off, and now Clover is jumping out of the plane again. You know.
That
There
or
you
he's
go.
just really good at jumping out of
I'm
planes.
just saying, anyway.
I feel bad that Raven didn't get, or
Everyone
Robin didn't get more time to shine.
How
in the
many of
fight.
you guys want Tyrion to be dead because he killed Clover? Like,
I
how many of you guys are that mad? I'm
I-
looking at the chat.
I feel
Press
like it's
1 in
gonna
the
be-
chat if you feel personally attacked by Tyrion because he
I
killed
think it's
Clover.
gonna be third time's the charm. I think
What does that mean?
because like first time, you know,
Tyrion got away.
Tyrion poisoned Crow. Second
Right.
time, Tyrion kills Clover. Third time, I think Crow's finally gonna kill Tyrion.
Okay, there are a couple of you that don't appreciate that
But I think that could
Tyrion killed Clover.
We should do a Fall of Crow video, and I think I'll
Yeah.
incorporate some of those ideas into the Fall of Crow video.
Yeah, so yeah, the chat is not happy. So I feel like that's good though, because we didn't like Tyrion because he poisoned Crow. But that was more directed, like we were like, oh, poor Ruby, like her uncle's dying,
and
right?
it was right after
Now-
Volume 3, and we thought Crow was gonna die.
Right, and so
if that was the new
now
regular.
we really, because Tyrion hasn't done anything to make us hate him in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he hasn't really done any, like Crow's okay. This is like a hateable moment. moment. It's like when people thought, like, oh, Neo's gonna kill Blake, and that'll make the fandom hate her. Like, it's sort of like that concept, but on Tyrion, and now, like, everyone hates Tyrion. And so, I just feel bad for Crow, yeah. So, throw Scorpion into the trash. Yeah, so Tyrion is based off of the Scorpion and the Frog, which I think is really, like, in the chat saying that as well.
You can't trust him.
Yeah, well, I think that that's something that's showcased in this episode, both with the plane crash, because he's willing to kill everyone and himself as long as, you know...
With those of you who don't notice, it was an Aesop's tale?
It was some sort of parable, some sort of fable.
About how a scorpion wants to cross a river, and the frog says, go on my back, and the scorpion, I believe,
poisons him in the middle, and they both die. Like, the scorpion drowns, but then he also gets poisoned.
Don't trust scorpions? I don't know.
I don't know what the point of it is, but he says that it's in my nature or something like that. And so
I think that works for him, that one, you can't trust him.
And he does that later, right? That Crow is the frog and Tyrion is the scorpion, and then they kill Clover, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, in a sense. Like, you can't
trust him because it's in his nature to do horrible things like that.
So that happened. Now,
Weiss, what did you do? Really looking forward.
Yeah, and so we were kind of right and wrong on this scene. Like, we said that Winter would go still do the maiden, but we thought that Penny would fuck off and leave Winter alone. Because I was like, Penny's so OP, I don't know how that's going to go with her against Cinder. But I guess that Penny's not as OP as we thought that she was in Cinder.
Especially compared to a maiden.
Yeah, because it's basically Winter versus Penny. Wait, Winter and Penny versus Cinder, unless Penny goes to get help or something. Unless she just breaks through the ceiling with her robot powers. I could see that too. But yeah, I was sort of thinking that Penny would leave, but at the same time, I feel like oh god, the word hunter. The gist of the scene is sort of like what we thought. Like, Winter is focused on the mission, whereas Penny has the feelings about RWBY and Atlas and all that stuff. That was my sort of like...
But what I didn't consider, and I think what we didn't consider, is that Penny has a strong relationship with Winter.
Yeah, and I feel like that's sort of what we missed. She doesn't want to leave Winter alone and in danger, because I thought that she would be like, well, see ya, time to go get RWBY, right? But she cares about Winter a lot, and she doesn't want Winter to be hurt either.
And one of my favorite new dynamics from this volume, ironically other than Clover and Ironwood, or Clover and Crow, is the one between Winter and Penny as kind of the big sister, little sister dynamic.
Yeah, and like she already has that with Weiss, I guess, but with Penny, I don't know. Like
we see more of it.
Yeah, and they spend so much time together.
A lot of cute moments.
And all that stuff. I feel like they're both changing each other for the better, you know?
And hopefully, listen, they already took...
So this scene is Calxiyn approved, even though Penny didn't leave. I still like the emotion.
Yes.
The emotions are sort of what we thought they would be.
We were right about the emotions.
Yeah.
But I guess our blind spot was thinking about Winter.
Yeah, exactly. And so...
He's saving Remnant.
They're just like, let's just go.
And it's almost like Winter doesn't believe when she says that he's saving. It's just like, I have to do what I have to do.
Exactly, because she even says Ironwood makes the hard choices so we don't have to. But I see. Here's my thing with Winter. I was sort of talking about this, and what I was sort of thinking about was, Winter was sort of under Jacques' control. And then she went into the military, and now she's under Ironwood's control, and whether or not that's freedom. Like, she joined the military to get away from Jacques, but now she is basically in the same situation she was before. And so leaving was not for the better. Does that make sense? And I feel like that's the difference between, like, Winter, Willow, Whitley, and Weiss. Weiss fights against her father and escapes him, and she fights against Ironwood as well, and tells Ironwood, like, no, you can't do martial law. Like, you know what I mean? She is more willing to resist because she won't fall under sort of the same regime, like the same control. The problem is
doesn't want to switch one emotional
and I'm not saying that Ironwood is as bad as Jacques, but it's basically the same, you know, the emotional tyrant thing. Winter leaves Jacques and she thinks that she's found freedom, but she's only found someone else to take orders from this time. Right?
Which, come to think of it, I think Winter might have daddy problems.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah.
I feel like, is this a popular take that other people have had? That Winter would have, like,
well,
hello,
I think she
new
does
daddy?
A little bit. You know what I mean? Like, she replaced her father figure with Ironwood.
With a different father
figure. And
figure.
Ironwood seems to be good, but in the cases he's not good, she sort of falls into the same old habits with Jacques. That's what I think. All the Shinies have daddy issues, yeah. So Winter escaped one cage for another one in Ironwood. How fucked up is that? Freedom is slavery. Yeah. Okay. 1984. Freedom is slavery. Thank you.
I don't remember that line, and I read that book now. Actually, you know what? I do remember that line. Moving forward.
So yeah, moving forward, what about your sister, our
Your
friends?
friend. I really thought that she was going to turn around, like Penny was going to turn around and not follow with her. You're to ensure my safety. And I like how she reframes it. It's like, I'm not... It's like, listen, that's...
Because that's what I thought she was going to do. She was focusing on the mission.
They're like...
And I like this. It's how she sort of is conflicted.
Like, I agree with you, but we have something we need to do right now.
Yeah. But
you should. I like
here's
that
line. General's making hard choices so we don't have to. But being human is having choice.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's about what Penny, like, why can't I do the things I want to do and the things I have to do? Like, that is the struggle, right? Is that being human is about making choices. If you have someone else make all the choices for you, you aren't living. You know what I mean? You're like a sim or something. Exactly. Right? And so I feel like that's
Penny is recognizing this.
Daddy issues in RWBY? What?
I guess a lot of people have daddy issues. And Winters, I think, has internalized it so much that she isn't aware of it. Although she does have lines later on that maybe adds to her own humanity.
Because I think that, like, even the Winter and Penny scene back in the Jacques area, she's like, I let my personal feelings sort of make me outburst, and that was inappropriate, and, like, not if you're going with your heart, right? And so, Winter is, like, a very Detroit Become Human everywhere here, except better than Detroit Become Human.
Yeah,
Sorry.
But listen.
But yeah,
RWBY hasn't always been gold, but this is a billion times better than,
you know what I mean? And so it's like, Penny needs choice to be human. You need personal feelings to be human. And even that line later, I think I have personal feelings about that Cinder. That was such a good line, right? And so I feel like
they're holding hands.
There's really something good here. So here's my question. Is this a ship?
It can be. I have always viewed it as like a big sister, little sister thing.
A platonic, like not a sexual ship. I mean like a romantic.
I like sister ship.
Like solely romantic ship. If
I
that
like.
makes sense.
I ship them as being like.
Chad is saying no and yes and ice bolts.
I guess Ice Bolts is. I mean, I don't know. Is there fan fiction? Let's check AO3.
Let's check. Yes, AO3. Let's go. Penny X Winter Tease. Yeah. Everything is a ship. Ice Bolt.
Well, how do you feel about it personally?
Okay, my thing is that Penny seems... It's awkward, right? Because Penny seems mentally young. And so, even if she has, like, the appearance of an 18-year-old and she's made as an 18-year-old, she has a lot to learn about the world, and so, I don't know. But is that also... I don't know how to explain this. I read something once about... Oh, you know what it was? It was Entrapta. So Entrapta's like 30 years old, and people were like, "Oh, well, she can't be with Hordak. Like she's so young and like innocent and whatever." But people sort of criticism of that, if that makes sense. Like if Penny is 18, all right, if Penny is legal age, like Penny in terms of body, if that makes sense. And Winter is like 26,
There's
25.
not...
Like, if Winter is 28 and there's a 10-year age gap or whatever, like, Penny's the youngest character? No, I think that RWBY is. I think that Penny has now been...
Oscar.
Oh, yeah, Oscar's the youngest character.
But also, I guess we don't know how old she is, Penny.
Yeah, like, we don't know how old she's meant to be. Because
like,
I would say...
She has the mental abilities of someone older, even if she's only, like, technically, like, existed for 5 years.
2 years or whatever. Right, obviously, yeah. So with the Entrapta thing, people were sort of arguing that, it's sort of insulting because Entrapta is sort of...
X-Winter stuff.
Okay. Entrapta is sort of... We talked about this, right? Like, Entrapta is sort of coded as, like, autistic, for example.
Yes.
Right? And that, like, people were sort of... I don't want to say undermining her, but I think that, like, it was the people on the team or something like that were getting annoyed because it was like that she can't have... a romantic relationship with Hordak because people sort of see her as a baby or as a child when she's actually 30 years old and she has the mental sort of capacity, right?
There's a surprising amount, and by surprising I mean 3, works that are Weiss x Penny Polendina.
Oh, that's interesting. But yeah.
So that's interesting, but no.
It's complicated because her age is manufactured. Yeah, that's how I feel too, just because it reminds me of Kingdom Hearts. Like Xion, like, if, for example, like, she's only existed for 2 years because she's a replica, like, she's a doll, like, she's basically, like, Penny, right? And so, like, how does that work? What? I thought Entrapta was a grown woman. She is, but that's people's sort of argument is, like, Entrapta seems younger, and she's sort of coded as, like, autistic,
and it's,
right?
like, people's viewing as autistic adults as children.
Exactly, and so
Societally.
that, I think, is the same thing with Penny and to some extent Nora, right? Is that they're more coded towards, like, being on spectrum, and that people sort of, even though they're adults and they're getting older and stuff, like, they're being treated as, like, children, and that's a problem, like, for, you know, the parts of the community that have autism, they feel like they are being babied, basically, because they're treated as children, but they're actually 30, or they're actually adults, or whatever. With Penny, it's complicated because we don't know how old she is meant to be.
Although I think she has the cognition of, like, a teenager, someone around
Yeah,
Ruby.
she just hasn't been around
She's just very
people.
ignorant.
Not
not ignorant, naive is a better word.
Like, she just
naive.
doesn't know. She reminds me a lot of Rapunzel.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Rapunzel's 18, Eugene is
not
whatever,
terribly
right?
worldly.
Not terribly, like, worldly. That's the
And so
that's
I
the
don't
thing.
think I think it's okay for, like, a character that's older to go with a character in, like, a reasonable age, even if that characterization is them being naive. However, that's, I think, the naivete of Penny is where I get this sister. Older sister, big sister.
I just sort of, I see
Little
this
sister
very
dynamic?
much as a Flynn Rider Rapunzel situation, or like a
I could
Quasimodo
see that,
Esmeralda, where
Yeah.
Quasimodo is sort of locked up in the world, but then Esmeralda is sort of more worldly wise, if you want to call it that, right?
I think both work.
Yeah, she has intelligence, but not social understanding. And just because she's socially inept doesn't make her a child.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So yeah, and for the ship, I don't know. I'll think about it some more.
I like it. I think in the show proper,
because she is very wise. She knows that there's nothing good about any of this, right? And she says on that we can agree. And so yeah, I don't know. I kind of ship it.
You know what? I both things I think work pretty well, especially when you brought up the idea of the contrast between the. Now here is I think my favorite fight scene that has showed up. I think the
Clover fight was pretty good, but
the Clover scene like hurt me, but this one was the most fun.
Oh yeah, I think I agree. Like there
I think that there's a lot of really good storytelling in this as well, which I think I'll get at the second part of the fight. But right now, I was waiting for the
So, can we just talk about how Ironwood has a fucking panic room?
Yeah.
Like, everything goes red, the windows start bolting.
And people keep on telling me that, no, Ironwood isn't paranoid. Motherfucker can turn his office into a bomb shelter with one button.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, it happens, you know?
It happens!
It happens! And so...
This recording room is actually bomb-proof.
I thought that Marrow was gonna turn,
because he
didn't.
not
I'm kind of sad
enjoy
about that.
it the
like,
whole time.
I bet $100, like, 100
you
theoretical...
You offered $100.
Dollars. You know what I mean? Like, that's
I should have taken it.
That is how I was rating the possibility of thing. Like, $100 on Marrow, $80 on Clover. Like, that was my confidence level,
You would have lost $150.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. So,
oh boy, they all draw their weapons.
Marrow's like, no!
Let's be peaceful, children. No fighting. We're not actually gonna slug this out, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
They decide what happens. This is potentially one of my favorite RWBY lines of all time.
I like how the scythe transforms. Like, this was so good.
Part of me wish she just stuck it in the ground too for that extra umph. But what was the line? You think you're going to stop us?
Yeah, that's Harriet.
Oh, that's Harriet. We're the best hunter in Atlas.
This was such a good line! Such a good line! Oh
and
my
then,
god!
And then it's just like, then Ruby's like, I'm gonna end this woman's whole career. And then you trained us.
And Lindsay had such good line delivery. That was such a good line. Like, the line was delivered so well.
And I like how Harriet is even like, oh, fuck me.
It was
like,
so mature. Like, the line was so mature.
Yeah.
As a line, like, oh.
And I like how RWBY, like, how before this fight, especially in that opening fight with the Gigas, Grimm that they fight, and how the Aesops totally whip their ass and RWBY's totally useless. So we're going into this fight like, oh shit, RWBY's gonna get the floor cleaned with them. So, but just with that line, I'm like, they're gonna win.
Here's what I would say about this whole fight in general. People are like, oh, like, Team RWBY shouldn't have won. Like, this is bullshit. They just did that because of the plot. I think that that's disingenuous. Because they have built this up from the very beginning. So here is my point, okay? The Aesops criticize each other and yell at each other the entire fight. Hare leaves Marrow alone to handle Weiss, and there was no fucking way that Marrow was going to be able to take Weiss by himself. The problem with the Aesops is the exact issue that they talked about in the beginning, is that they're not on the same page, is that they have synergy, kind of, but the problem is is that at the end of the day, when things get stressful, they are out for themselves.
Yes.
Like, Hair takes Ruby out of the room herself and leaves Marrow to basically suffer. Like, the only people that have, like, consistent teamwork are Vine and Elm, like, in this scene. And so I think it's disingenuous to say, like, oh, Team RWBY didn't deserve that, they only won because of the plot.
And I
like,
first
what people
noticed
don't
this.
understand is that the Aesops are not playing nice with each
No.
other. They're all sort of working as individuals, but Team RWBY has teamwork. So say that they are equal strength, or say that RWBY is even a little bit weaker, like Team RWBY.
I think they
right?
were equal.
Like, say, like, that tips the scale. Like, that turns the tables, is their ability to sort of work together as a team, and sort of the negligence on the part of the Aesops. Again, leaving Marrow in that room by himself with Weiss is like, what are you thinking? To
And I
get
think
his
he might have even
beat,
got his ass
like,
kicked, like, off screen.
RWBY
but
won by helping each other, and so that's the whole thing. Like,
That's
when
when I-
Hair's
that's
like,
when I
we're not a
noticed this.
family. Like, we're just, you know,
Yeah.
we're not friends. We're not a family. That's bullshit. Like, it's just a job, right? But Team RWBY is a family, and that's why they win. And some people may be like, oh, but that's the power of friendship. Like, no, that's just realistic.
It's the,
right? They
the
didn't
power of
fight as
friendship
well.
is like in Sword Art Online when Kirito is able to not die magically because of the power of love. This is like
Yeah.
plotting and it's
Team
being
RWBY
used.
actually covered each other's weaknesses. Exactly. Like,
And
that's
you can
how the
really
whole
see
thing.
this when Blake and Yang were fighting Clover, or rather, sorry, no, we're
Elm and
fighting
Vine.
Elm and Vine. That Elm and Vine weren't like working as a team, and
Yeah.
Blake and Yang were doing team attacks. They weren't
Yeah.
going off of each other. They were changing the environment.
And so that's the
That's
whole
when
thing.
I first noticed that.
Right? And so that's, like, I think that anyone who's like, Team RWBY didn't deserve it, like, that's bullshit. Like, I feel like that's so disingenuous and just to find something to be like, oh, the writers just made them win because of the plot. Like, no.
I especially think Ruby and Harriet were matched perfectly, and the only reason why Harriet was beaten is because Weiss jumps in and stops her.
Yeah,
So I think
basically.
you really see that, how their teamwork and they're being all on the same side.
Exactly, like when Weiss
and their
puts up the
relationship.
ice wall, like that's
Yeah.
just all so great. So we're gonna sort of look at things.
One thing I will say
frame
against
by
that
frame,
is that
too.
they have pretty good teamwork. You know what? I don't know if they had great teamwork in the Gigas fight.
Yeah.
Because on one sense, they just kind of do their own thing. They don't have the same kind of teamwork that RWBY shows in this fight.
yeah, they
So
sort
I
of-
would argue that, yeah, they've been showing this for a while, and it's worked quite well.
And Team RWBY also gets under their skin,
Yeah.
in a sense, and we'll sort of look at that later. But you can see, like, RWBY and them going out in the hallway.
But this-
Like, RWBY got fucking
Oh,
put
yeah,
in that
it was-
elevator.
it was not
Like,
an
look,
easy
that
fight
elevator
either.
is fucking wrecked.
It's not going
Like,
anywhere. It was not an easy win for them. They
Yeah.
got their ass, Blake especially, and especially with that cross through the
See,
B, I thought she
Like,
was
she
going to die in
thinks
this
this
fight.
is crap, right? That this is just, like...
Pegged you right from the start
know.
as being empathetic.
They also
and
were missing
caring
their
about
leader.
people.
Yeah, so Clover
Yeah.
wasn't even around to tell them what to do. And that's the other thing. The Aesops
Without-
just go
yeah.
off of orders, right? So how,
Yeah.
you know what I
They
mean?
don't
So
think for themselves.
Exactly.
Without Clover, they didn't know what they were doing.
This is a cool...
This anime, that was
animation.
out of left field, but I do dig it.
Yeah.
Her feet are so dirty.
The headbutt? Oh, man.
Yeah. That was, I did not expect
And then
that.
Yang got yeeted. I love this shot. I love how Blake is
Yeah.
able to swing in here. I'm glad that
It's
they
very
made this
Spider-Man.
a very open area, so she would be able to do that.
I was
Like, think
concerned that
was
people
great.
would be fighting in the office and it would be too cramped, but this arena, like, it works very well.
Yeah, the Aesops operate well together, but they don't work well together. Yeah, that's what I... That's
They're not on the
perfect,
same
yeah.
page.
And so, yeah, I love Blake swinging around. And you can see, like, Yang is dropping off the... That was
Exploding.
so cool. Like
That
was so
would be
nice.
annoying to, like,
Because that's
have
the thing,
them...
Yang only can do that now because of the Aesop. She
Yeah.
was trained, and so it's using what they learned
So,
against
yeah,
them.
Ruby was right that,
totally
like, we
deserved
got
it.
better
Yeah.
after you trained us.
And so there's that. But yeah, look at Blake just,
Mm-hmm.
swinging. I just love it.
Because you don't get a lot of, like, every once in a while you see swingy Blake, but I like that they've brought up that as, like, a motif for fighting more.
Yeah.
I freaked out here because I legit
was just
thought
like,
that this is where
oh.
Blake was gonna get, like, her neck snapped or something.
Yeah. And
Come
so,
peacefully, we
you
won't
know,
hurt
they're
you.
using Blake against...
That's the other thing, they're
her.
not on the same page. Elm wants to kill them.
Yeah, speak for yourself. Yeah, that's
Harriet
the whole
wants
thing.
to kill them. Vine and Marrow are like, listen, we're being a little much.
Yeah.
Marrow says something similar later
So
on. They're
if
not
you
on
come
the same
peacefully,
page.
we won't hurt you. And then, yeah, so you're not all on the same page. That's why they lost, sis. Like, that's why they
Also,
lost.
okay, first, rule 1 of combat, don't fight with hoop earrings. This is not a moment for the big hoops.
And so I, you know, like,
It's not worth it, Blake. I like this one.
They're only following orders. I love this line in her face. Like, yay, get it. Yeah, like, this is great. I love
You're
this
right
stuff.
that they were just trying to antagonize them, and it was totally working.
Yeah, and see,
That
she
they were
tosses
playing-
Blake. Poor Blake.
Blake gets
And Vine is just like, not again.
fucking
right?
Elm.
Yeah. And so that's the thing, right? Is that they're not all on the same page, and that's the problem. Marrow could not have beaten
The
Weiss.
Marrow
Even
Weiss?
if he was fighting at full
Yeah.
capacity, there was no
I was
fucking way.
looking at this fight, I'm like, there's no way. Marrow is like the Walmart to Aesop's Gucci.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that, like,
People
Gucci
he
Weiss
wasn't at 100%. Like,
was
there's
gonna
no
lose to
way,
Marrow.
guys. Here's the thing,
He
too.
might have been pulling his punches, but I do not believe.
The tail's nice foreshadowing
No.
because the knight in the last episode nearly cut him, and now the knight is like actually
Now he's having
fighting
more
against
trouble
him.
with the
You know,
knight.
that was a nice that was a nice scene. That was a nice thing.
Mm-hmm.
See, and you can see his tail almost gets
Almost
singed
gets
again.
singed.
It's
I was like,
parallels,
come on,
direction. Thank you. Because
burn
like, there's
the-
so many, and people don't realize this. There's so many people working on RWBY more than just the animators, right? And I think Melanie
Melanie Stern, yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, she talked about this, but there are the directors and the people that are rigging the models and the lighting and sort of all that stuff. And so, like, this is this is intentional sort of, like, direction and framing and camera work and all that stuff to make these sort of parallels. Like, I love that. The juicy parallels that we're getting in these scenes. I love that. They are, and there's more parallels in the Clover situation. We'll talk about that later. I know you schnees are used to getting what you want. I wonder how many interactions Marrow has had with Winter, particularly. I wonder, because, like, Winter is Ironwood's right hand, so I wonder if they're all a little bit jealous. I don't know.
It's
Just a
time
thought.
to let this one go. I like that I do kind of like this characterization for Marrow.
Yeah.
That he really, I think, has a good heart out of
Yeah.
all the Aesops. And so I think your previous...
Marrow's like,
you know you done fucked up.
I really like how Weiss says that this is her home, right? Because it really, like, this is what she's fighting for.
Did we already see the moment where... No, the moment comes later. There's some really good slapstick in the Marrow fight, too. He's just funny. And before we get to the heavier stuff here, I think you were, like, you had mentioned previously that you had an idea that Marrow would leave the Aesops and join RWBY.
Would make them
some
stay, and then would make the other Aesop stay, and then RWBY would escape.
But, like, even after this, that Marrow would be more of an ally to Team RWBY than the rest of... I remember that. Part of me feels like that might happen more now.
Because he was more like, hey, let's not do this.
All right, let's not fight.
Right.
Let's... You can hold the talking stick and we can work this out.
Yeah, you know? Yeah.
So I was really concerned about Robin because... I don't know. I feel like I guess we haven't seen Robin in a lot of fights yet.
Shots just don't make themselves. I like that from the chat. Like the camera direction and all that stuff. People are sort of asking about, like, whether Penny can get the maiden powers or not.
Well, we had a theory about that.
We basically had a theory that you could artificially put the maiden
Because if
powers
she has
in
an
Penny,
aura,
but not naturally.
and aura is a manifestation of your soul, and it's attached, the
Yeah.
maiden powers are attached to someone's soul,
Yeah.
presumably, that,
So I don't think they care about
she
you
could.
having a female body. I think it's more tethered to your soul. Magic is tethered to your soul.
I guess that's
and
true.
stuff.
But I guess so. I guess it doesn't. I guess it goes with, like, I don't know. So I
So
guess...
the chat is saying something interesting. Sorry not to interrupt you, Hunter, but like the cowardly lion needed courage, the Tin Man needed a heart, and the Scarecrow needed a brain. And Crow's a fucking idiot. That is not what the commenter said. No,
Yeah,
but it's
I
Crow
think
is
that's
losing
fair.
his mind.
I
That's
think
what
that-
I'm sort of
yeah,
gonna say.
That could be that.
That Crow
I
has
think,
lost his mind in his sort of reasoning. If that makes sense.
and I think we're gonna talk about it more when we inevitably do a Crow video. But
Yeah.
I think that they're doing the Zuko method, which is he will be better, but it's not a straight line.
Yeah,
And I think
guess.
he's gotten better, and he might get worse, and he might get better, or he might die.
Yeah.
But it's interesting previously that it seems like the maiden powers are going to women and
Yeah.
not necessarily people with, like, 2X chromosomes. Because
What do you
presumably...
mean?
Because presumably it'd be like, well, how does the magic define what a woman is? Because presumably
Yeah, we talked about that
Penny
before.
doesn't have chromosomes, so it wouldn't go for, like, biological sexes,
Yeah.
or they wouldn't go for intersex. So by that logic, ironically, Nora can be both trans and be the Winter Maiden, and we can be right on two.
But yeah, I think it is
grounds.
more just about the soul, right? I don't think it's like, do you have the chromosomes? Well, then you get to be a maiden. Like, Osmond's powers work on magic, guys. I
But
don't
then
think you have
there's
to be
also
biological.
the question of,
female.
like, does Penny have genitalia?
No, she just has her soul. It's her soul.
I guess that's
feminine.
what it is.
I don't know how to explain that, but yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think
so
that's
this goes in
is
for
possible.
Nora being trans and the next Winter
The
Maiden. You
aura
heard it
from
here
Pietro
first,
is male. I know that, but that doesn't matter. It's that he gave
That
her
was
part
a-
of her aura and
I-
it developed into herself.
I actually talked
Does that
to
make
you. I actually
sense?
talked to you about this
It's
before.
like if I gave someone my kidney, it's my kidney, but their body accepts it as their kidney.
They're
and
not
then they
like
get
one
kidney,
10,000th
you know?
woman. That's not how it really works. That's not how people's conception of gender works.
I remember a video theory that Maria may die for Penny. I said that, so...
But no, I sent you a message on Discord a couple weeks back about how if Penny is built out of Pietro's soul and Pietro is a man and Penny is a woman, is Penny technically trans?
Yeah, you did. You did say that. But yeah, I think it is like you give a part of yourself to someone, but then it's accepted as theirs. So Pietro gave the soul so she could live, but it's not like she's a carbon copy of Pietro. Your soul isn't your personality. I don't know. It's just... Yeah.
It's, I mean...
The way I would explain this is like
energy.
Pietro gave, the energy, the juice to get Penny
The spark
going.
of
The
life.
gas, you know what I'm
Because that's
saying?
what
like,
a soul is in like Buddhism. Not your personality, but an energy that is neutral, that passes.
Yeah,
that
and so
is-
I think that is true. I think that that's true. Good job, Hunter.
Go team.
The
grade 12.
11 world religions
Yeah,
class.
grade 11 world's religion. That is exactly where I got that from. Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
I'm surprised you remember that stuff.
I really like, that was the one religion, I guess I did like religion class, even though I was an angsty atheist back in high school.
Robin needs help. Surrender, and we can take her to Atlas and get her patched up. And I'm just like, that's a big yikes.
Never pegged you for the manipulative type. Is he being, I read that, I'm like, is he being manipulative?
Well, he kinda is. He's
'Cause
like,
I guess
hey,
he's like,
if you turn
"You
yourself
made me
in,
love
we
you."
can help Robin. No, but it's like, hey, if you don't surrender and Robin dies, it's your fault, right? Like, that's sort of the
yeah, I
implication
guess that
of
is,
that.
you know
I
what?
think,
Yeah, I guess
you
that
know?
is that is manipulative. You are right.
Right. So,
I learned a lot of things tonight. I enjoyed working with you. No, even the endless cynicism of yours. It's interesting that he's commenting on the cynicism, even though he was helping him
yeah.
to prove it wrong. And now Crow is just like doubling
And now
down
it's
on
proved right.
his worst instincts.
Crow
and that's where I'm
is
concerned
like the
that,
Grim Reaper here.
Yeah.
Like, look at that, the shadow of death and all that stuff. Yeah.
I guess that is some foreshadowing.
Also,
I don't
we have
know.
200 people here. Thank you guys so much.
Almost
I think that's the
250.
highest we've ever had. Hopefully we will do these next volume more consistently because we only started a couple weeks ago. So like that's pretty good.
We did, but then again, losing the computer was kind
Yeah,
of
the
an issue
computer
with that.
loss was pretty
part of
bad. You don't know my friends. That's how it always goes. I feel like there's something about Tai Yang in there, and I can't put my finger on it exactly.
And Raven, and I think
Not
Stark in
necessarily
general,
Raven,
Lionheart,
but
all his friends that
It's
died in
because
Minstrel.
he says, hold on, Clover sighs. Wait.
You don't know my friends.
We don't have to fight, friend. You don't know my friends. That's how it goes. I don't know if he means that Raven. I feel like it meant physically. I feel like Tai Yang gives the stink eye to Crow a couple times. You know, I feel like that. Yeah, it could have meant fighting with Raven, but I feel like it's more of a pass with Tai Yang specifically.
It could be
like
something
Tai
with
Yang's
Summer
very
as well.
particular because. Hey,
Yeah,
your
that's
sister
true.
fucking left me with our baby, and Summer fucked off, and she's dead because of you. Like, that could have been, but I guess it's not dead because of Crow, because Summer went off by herself, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like Tai Yang would
But
still
that
think
could
that
just,
way.
it's just also, I think, his Mistral friends, also, I think, Lionheart, potentially even Oz.
Did Crow ever fight Summer? No, but I'm saying that it's because Tai Yang, I feel like, blames Crow because, hey, your sister left me
Especially
with my
in
child,
volume
and this
3,
and that,
they
you know?
look a little like their relationship is tenuous. I think he might also, he could be talking about a lot. I mean, it is friends plural.
I think he means that
Ozpin
all
is
his
fair
friends
as well.
die. That could be possible too, but it's just because it's like we don't have to fight friend. It's
Yeah.
like Clover fights with all his friends. Like
Yeah.
Ozpin betrayed him, and then James, he has to fight with James. He
Ironwood.
has to fight with Ozpin. He has to fight with Ty. Like whatever. He has to fight with Raven. Not even literally, but like somewhat literally.
And so
like
I
with
think
the Ozpin stuff especially.
now I think it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy
Yeah.
now.
I mean,
And I think that
Yeah.
after Clover died,
I don't think
he's
this
gonna
is
start...
Clover's fault. Or I don't think this is Crow's fault,
No,
though.
it's not.
Self-fulfilling self-fulfilling prophecy is when you believe something and so it happens. Like if I'm like, damn, I'm gonna get sick, and then I get sick. That's like, your brain sort of influencing you.
I guess that I don't
right?
mean
This
by
isn't
that.
self-fulfilling. It's like
He thinks
Crow
that
has
the
been
universe is
proven
proving
right.
is right.
Exactly.
Yes. And I think
yeah.
it's going to cause him to double back on his worst instincts. And so I think
Yeah.
we might see Crow like pick the booze up or just be real bad.
I think that he's gonna go after James, though.
Do you think this is
that
giving you death flags?
I think that
'Cause
Crow
some
is
people
gonna
are
try to
concerned.
go after Ironwood, and so I don't necessarily think that he's gonna get arrested or any of that. Like, maybe he will for a time, but I feel like at the very end of the scene, it's very clear, at least to me, that he wants to go after James. And so that's what he think will set things right if he ends up killing Ironwood.
We also need to talk. Crow's voice actor was doing an excellent job here.
Yeah.
With like Lindsay did a great job with RWBY.
Oh,
Crow,
everyone
excellent.
did such a great job.
You can see like the whoever voices Kalos.
Tyrion,
did an excellent job. Because you can really get that emotion and that ambivalence
so
and that
good.
like hatred towards the world.
But yeah. Robin can't be a credible witness, but she's not being arrested. Like, she can testify to the fact that Tyrion
broke out.
escaped and that he probably did it. Like,
Yeah.
she could say that. I mean, I think that,
She could
you know what I
lie.
mean? She can't, and she could, yeah.
She seemed like the one to lie to help a friend.
Yeah, she could lie and say, I saw the whole thing and then I passed out. Right?
And maybe
You
then
know?
we'll get the Crow-Robin fight that was
Against
shown
Tyrion? No, I think
Tyrion.
that's done. I think that
Think
it
that's
was
over
just
with?
the
I mean,
TV.
he is on the loose.
I think Robin was unconscious, though, yeah, but she could, like, lie or even say, well, before the plane went down, Tyrion tried to kill us, so, I mean, he probably killed Clover. You know, she doesn't need to say that they were all fighting, right? Because nobody knows that.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
Like, they could have said, like, we were on the plane, Crow was willing to go willingly, like, she could lie, Crow was gonna go willingly with Clover, but then Tyrion escaped and
They had to fight
killed
him.
us all, and so, you know, Tyrion probably killed Clover, right? Like, she could just say that Robin did it.
Did they
you know?
see the fighting from a distance, potentially? I don't
Well,
know.
Robin is,
Or
like,
the people on the
well,
the
no
ship.
one would have seen,
I guess
like,
not.
because nobody's here. The pilot's dead. The other one's dead. Like,
The other
Robin
pilot
could
that was
lie for
coming in
him,
to pick them up.
but I'm pretty sure. Listen, okay, I said this before. I'll say it again. All Crow has to do is turn into a bird. Okay, take the murder weapon with him,
I
and
think
no
that's
one
gonna
will know
happen.
anything. All right, he'll be fine. Maybe
That could be a bad scene later when, like, Ruby's like, whose blood is that?
on your side. I mean, does the bird stuff clean it? Like, I don't know. Like, does that? Because you know what I mean. Like, you turned into a bird, and your scythe and your thing goes with you. I don't know.
Boy.
But yeah, so Tyrion.
This scene here was, I think you were right when the whole Eddie saying there's going to be a scene that makes you vomit.
Not Eddie, it was one
Or
of the animators.
There's a scene that makes you vomit.
I think this was the vomit
But the
scene.
thing is, that is actually how you have to break your thumb to get out of cuffs. So
But these
this
aren't
is
regular
legit.
cuffs.
They're not. I feel like you could, like, but yeah, I mean, that's the idea. Your hand's bigger than your wrist, so you got to find some way of doing it.
Right.
But just the noise too, and the fact that he's like okay and maybe even enjoys the
This,
pain.
the wiggle of the
God.
skin. Oh, that
I don't
was
think you can just.
disturbing.
He like dislocates it.
I guess
Oh, man.
I think he
But
dislocates
he just
it and then
cracks
puts
it back
back.
in place. That's like a really good character moment for
Yeah,
him. That
I
like
think
you're
it
watching
is.
this man better than him just like I'll cut your eye off or him chewing the scenery. A scene of him like cracking his like
And
injuring
enjoying
himself
it, like he seems
and
hurt at first,
smiling.
but then he likes the pain.
and like
You
he's
know?
excited about it.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
really
fucked.
great character moment. You're like, wow, this guy is one sick ticket. Like it's
Yeah.
oof.
The real question is, where the fuck are Emerald and Mercury? Irrelevant. They're
They're
irrelevant.
they're about as relevant right now as like Raven is. Raven Watch 2020.
But yeah, so they're, fighting. I thought that this scene was kind of nice because you have sort of the claw and then the shaft of the weapon. Not an innuendo, I promise. I just didn't know what to say.
Listen, after what happens here, like Clover is never getting Crow's
So this
shaft.
is crazy, right?
Yeah, and he just turns around. At least
So why the
Crow has a good instinct to immediately go after.
Yeah.
But this
So-
dipshit,
Clover? I don't know. Like,
he
I don't
believes
wanna
in his
say-
ability too much.
I don't
He
want to say that
underestimates.
Clover is an idiot.
He's
Because I
kind
feel
of
like
an
people are
idiot.
going to come for me and be like, everyone's blaming Clover, like the Clover discourse and whatever. People just hate him for no reason. Like, no.
We hate him for.
Instead
We're upset with him for a pretty good
Exactly.
reason.
Instead of fighting Tyrion again and then arresting Crow, he decides that he could, fuck with Crow. Because what if Tyrion hurt Crow.
I
Right?
think he believes...
Like, that's not good.
His belief, I think, is similar to Ironwood's, is that he's too convinced of his own
I think
ability.
Clover thinks he's invincible.
He thinks he can beat Crow and Tyrion, and that's just not the case.
Stupid. That's just not correct.
And then Crow has fought Tyrion before, knows how good he is.
People are saying that's what the Aesops do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crow knows how good he is and thinks, and like immediately, it's like, no, we have to focus on Tyrion. He's the bigger threat.
Yeah, it's the Aesops and the convictions and, I don't know, like his conviction to arrest. But I don't know. I feel like...
He's an idiot.
Okay, thanks, Hunter.
And he doesn't deserve what he gets, but...
He doesn't deserve
what
to
the
die,
fuck do you think
but
was going to happen when you weren't attacking...
with Clover getting hurt by Tyrion, potentially. Right? And so I feel like that's what makes Clover the... Reddit thread. Am I the asshole for trying to arrest
40,
my boyfriend?
They're trying to arrest my boyfriend, 40, even though there's an
serial killer trying
scorpion
to get
man.
us. Right? Because here's the thing, okay? Clover, the logical thing to do would be to take down Tyrion together and then arrest Clover, right?
Yes.
And y'all should have killed Tyrion to begin with. Y'all shouldn't arrest him, but I guess Clover believes in justice.
Do they not have the death penalty in Remnant?
And so the thing about that is, right, is that Clover instead decides the best thing to do is to go after Crow, which is not the best thing to do. Now, here's the thing. I feel like here's the asshole part. What makes Clover an asshole in this situation is that Tyrion could have easily killed Crow, but he doesn't care as long as he can arrest him or whatever, as long as, like, the law is held in check. So that's what makes Clover the asshole. I feel like Clover's an asshole, but Crow is an idiot, because Crow could have turned into a bird and fucked her right off.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, they all know about magic now.
But I think he also wants to put down Tyrion.
I know he does, and so that's the thing. So Clover's an asshole because he didn't care about Crow's well-being and didn't take down the more obvious threat, which is Tyrion. Crow is an idiot because he didn't try to leave and because he has a score to settle and his grudge got in the way of his sort of logic. Like, fight or flight, time to, like, flight is the answer, right? And so
he should have never even for a moment sided with Tyrion.
Yeah, and so I feel like Clover's not stupid.
They
Clover's an asshole. Crow is stupid. You know what I mean? So I think that's right.
And I think he felt betrayed and hurt.
Crow is right to blame Jane's here. He knew that Crow and Clover were transporting Tyrion, pitting them against each other was irresponsible. Yeah, I feel like that is the good reason for blaming Ironwood later. And so, yeah, I feel like there's a difference. You know, they're both stupid, but I feel like Clover specifically is an asshole because he's not thinking about the well-being of anyone but himself. He's thinking, I can take down both of them, I'll be fine.
Which in a sense is a little stupid.
Crow, but it also, that's what makes him an asshole. Whereas Crow, I feel like, isn't an asshole. He's defending himself and he's stupid, which I feel like is different. You know what I mean? Like, they're both dumb, but Clover is dumb almost in a malicious way, whereas Crow is just dumb in a self-defense type of way, where Crow could have probably fled, but he had this grudge against Tyrion and he wanted to change Clover. And I know people are going to be like, see, Cal blames everything on Clover because Clover is gay, and it's going to get into that again. Like, no, that's not what we're doing. I'm just looking at the scene logically. They both fucked up, but they both fucked up because of different reasons. And I feel like with Clover, it's because he thinks he's invincible, and to some extent, it's sort of that selfishness. He doesn't care what happens to Crow. You know what I mean? Or at least in this moment, he doesn't. It's fine if Tyrion hurts Crow. At least then they'll be easier to arrest together, right? In that whole thing. And then Clover, again, is like the asshole in this situation for not identifying that maybe Tyrion is the true problem here, instead of hurting Crow and hurting Crow's ability to fight Tyrion, right? And so that's what makes everything in this situation really, really bad. Later, when Crow decides to team up with Tyrion, that's when we'll get into like, was that a good idea? But at the same time, right, Clover was attacking both of them, so what else were they kind of supposed to do?
Fucking god damn it, Tyrion.
And so, yeah, like, that's the whole thing. I just feel like Crow is really, really stupid, but Clover is a stupid kind of asshole in this situation. Do I think Clover deserved to die? No. But do I think that that's a consequence of his actions? Yes. You know what I mean? Like, you can recognize that someone didn't deserve something because what Clover, like, him dying is terrible. But is that the consequence of his actions? Is that the consequence of him going after Crow instead of focusing on Tyrion and
A
letting
little bit.
Tyrion escape and then
A
letting
little
Tyrion pick up a sword and stick it through him, right? That's a consequence, right? And so I feel like, in a sense, nothing was wrong done by Clover here. Does that make sense? Like, writing-wise, like, it makes sense. He made a selfish choice, and he thought he could survive, and then he didn't. That was the risk he sort of took, and then it failed. So, yeah, that's awkward, you know?
It's not great. It's not great.
It's not really black and white, like, oh, well, you know, Crow's innocent, Clover's evil, right? Like, we're not saying that. We're saying that there's multiple things to blame here, but I think that Clover's death is on him because he let Tyrion... You know what I mean? He decided that Tyrion was more, like, less of an issue and that he would just, you know, fight both of them and all that stuff. So, yeah. Because, like, look at this. Look at them. They're fighting, too. We have a score to settle, right? And all that stuff.
I agree.
And so that's the manipulation. Why don't we get rid of Clover and then we'll fight ourselves, right? Because Clover is a threat to Crow right now. And so, is it stupid to side with the villain?
Yes.
Yes. Did we kind of predict this? Yes.
Did we?
The enemy of my enemy with my friend.
Okay.
Remember we talked about that in the context of more Watts?
Yes.
Like the heroes
Yes.
working with Watts, but now it's Crow working with Tyrion. So we did kind of, I really like that the concept did make it in eventually.
I think in a sense Crow is dumb for thinking that
Tyrion wouldn't, you know.
that he can take Tyrion by himself.
But I
this
think
time.
here's what Crow thought, and this is why I think that Crow is a little like less like that. I wouldn't call Crow the asshole, right? Is that he basically thinks that they could just, you know, incapacitate Clover, like knock him unconscious, and then they'd fight, right? And that Tyrion has sort of some sort of honor in that. But instead, they incapacitate Clover, and instead of being like, well, square up with me now, Tyrion's like, I don't feel like it, and then stabs Clover. Like, that's sort of the fault. Like, because I think Crow thought, okay, we'll knock Clover unconscious, he'll be out of our fight, and then we'll like settle the score, right? And so I think that's what Crow thought. What Crow didn't sort of account for was Tyrion being like, I don't really want to fight you.
Because
I'm leaving.
Tyrion did go
Because
out.
Tyrion did say, he said, you know, I agree that we have a score to settle, so we'll settle it. You know what I mean? Let's take care of him, and then we'll fight 1v1 like a man. But instead, you know, Tyrion runs off, grabs Crow's sword, and is like, I don't want to fight with you anymore, Crow. I'll just stab your boyfriend.
Do you think
and
that
I'll
was
leave.
part of the plan?
Tyrion's plan? I feel like Tyrion...
Because part of me thinks that, like, he... And I don't know if I mentioned this previous... I think I did mention it, actually, in this video for last week's episode, that he kind of went down pretty easy when he was going against Robin, Crow, and
like, what
Clover.
If this is
Initially,
all the
I
plan?
just took that as, like, your 3 world-class huntsmen against one world-class villain. Like, you know, it was the odds weren't in his favor. But now I'm wondering if that was a plan.
I think with this, I think he genuinely did want to do this. I think he genuinely is saying in that moment, yeah, let's take care of Clover and then we'll finish it man on man. But I feel like with Tyrion, it's his impulse.
He did finish Clover. I mean, he wasn't lying.
No, well, I mean, he was, though, because he didn't fight Crow after. He was like, you know. So I feel like here's the thing, is that Tyrion, I think, genuinely was like, yeah, we'll take care of Clover and then we'll fight each other, right? But then I feel like this is the impulse thing. This is the scorpion biting the frog, is that Tyrion then sees the weapon on the ground and he has the impulse. He has a perfect impulse.
Stabby
and he
time.
can grab that weapon and shove it in Clover, right? And then he's like, we'll settle this another day, and he leaves. And so, yeah, Crow is stupid for trusting Tyrion, but Tyrion does agree at first. You know, we'll fight each other and we'll finish it. The only reason that Tyrion does this is because he sees the weapon, and the weapon is the impulse. Like, the weapon creates the impulse in him to really fuck up with shit. Whereas I think in this moment, if Clover disappeared from the scene, I think they just would have thought. You know what I mean? But because of that weapon, because of the weapon on the ground, Tyrion was like, well, this is too much. I have no self-control. And so that's basically, you know, what he did. So I don't know if you guys agree or not. I think that there's a lot of stupidity here, but it's understandable stupidity, and I don't think that the writers are stupid. It makes sense. Like, everything that everyone is doing makes sense.
We know it's dumb.
Except for what Clover's doing, that makes him an asshole.
We know it's dumb, but we also understand why Clover doesn't think it's dumb to do that.
Yeah,
because
I guess.
of his overconfidence
Yeah.
with the fight.
And so basically everyone's an idiot, but I think Clover is really just the asshole in this situation.
But then again, you know what? It was kind of... Because you were talking previously about that card, and I think in that card, it does talk about him being loyal to Atlas and Ironwood.
I don't think it says Ironwood, though. It just says loyal to Atlas.
Well, yeah, because I'm wondering if Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, if he had only picked up the sword, yeah.
Yeah, that it
Clover
really
wouldn't make amends with Crow. If Crow didn't make the choice to side with Tyrion, he surely would have died. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the heat of the moment and all that stuff.
It's really deeply unfortunate thing to have.
Yeah, I
happen.
think that this is understandable mistakes, if that makes sense. Both made bad choices that led to Clover's death. Yeah, I feel like Clover, it's his own demise, I think,
He
in a
done
sense.
goofed.
Yeah.
As the kids
Because
say.
I think Crow would have died against both Clover and Tyrion. I don't think there's any way. Like, if Clover kept taking Crow's weapon against Tyrion, he would have died. So I don't know if there was really a choice. You know what I mean? And so then the sword. Whee!
Oh boy, the sword.
Yeah, so then that happens. And then we cut back to Ruby time. Ruby time.
Everyone's favorite time.
Ruby time. Yeah, this can be
Ruby
mostly
time.
blamed on Clover.
Ruby
Yeah, I
time.
agree. Clover died to his own hubris. Yeah, exactly. And he said, I owe my life to Ironwood. Well, clearly, yeah, you do owe your life to Ironwood because Ironwood
Now
basically
someone's
caused
going
all
to
this.
take revenge
He should have
on
said,
your
let's
life
focus
for
on
you.
Tyrion. And yeah, all that stuff.
I'm trying to find, it's probably buried pretty deep in there, the
Yeah.
original cards. But back to this fight, the Marrow stuff in this portion of the fight has some like...
Marrow, cut the crap, will you? I'm trying to arrest her, not kill her hair.
Yes.
And then they're arguing, right? And so that's another reason why the Aesops don't win, because they argue.
They're not on the same page. Oh, I've got him. Okay.
All right.
So the card
Read it
for...
to me, Hunter.
The leader of Atlas Elite Fighting Force, Clover does everything by the book. He's fiercely loyal, tries to bring out the best in people, and do whatever it takes to protect his kingdom. Okay, no. I
Yeah,
guess
see,
loyal.
he says nothing about
I guess
Ironwood
it's
in
loyal,
there.
so it's like, yeah, is it loyal to his kingdom? I guess we were wrong.
Yeah, we were wrong.
Goddamn, that would have been, man.
Yeah.
Because I think he's good and dead. I don't think he's coming back. They're not going to penny this.
Yep. Aesops never said they were friends. Yep. Big oof. And so then, you know, we have this
The
with
team
Blake and
fight.
Yang. I think Blake and Yang obviously work the best together.
Giving them, like, you know,
Yeah,
the
Blake
couple...
got fucking beat up
beat
here.
the shit. Yeah, her aura doesn't break, but it's definitely
Her
near
aura's
the
like
end there.
cracking. Yeah, because remember, breakage is when you see the pixie dust
Yes.
now. And so, yeah, this is like, yeah.
It's you know, the couples that beat the shit out of other people together, you know, they stay together. I think it's I was really hoping they were going to do Bumblebee when
Yeah.
they tossed the thing back towards, but what they do instead is still it was a great moment. That jump.
This jump in the north, like, oh man, look at that.
Was this in slow motion?
Yeah, it was.
It was, yes, yeah,
Oh
just briefly.
man, look how she flings herself off of the weapon. This fight was so good. This is so good.
I feel
man.
like, I don't know, Blake swinging on a hammer also has some meme ability. This was a great scene. I thought, like, oh, he's going to launch the rock. And I'm like, oh, he tosses away the rock. Well, then where's the explosion? There's the explosion.
Yeah,
it was
the
a shadow clone.
That was so good.
Yes,
That was
I
so
genuinely
good.
did not see that coming.
Bumblebee needs to be official already. Yeah.
At this point, it's basically official.
I know, but they have to do.
It's prelude.
What?
Listen.
What are you doing there, Vine? All right, keep
Okay.
your hands to yourself,
That
man.
is a Blake-only spot.
Oh god, this is assault. But yeah. Anyway, so she grabs the handcuffs
And just bodies him into the ground, and
Down
it's
he
so
goes.
satisfying
Oh, that
that he
was
takes it entirely on the chin.
Yeah, and then see he evaporates into pixie
Yes.
dust, so his aura's like basically all gone.
Which, does that mean he still took damage from the slam?
Yeah.
I guess the concussion. Okay.
So that's why he's unconscious, right? Like he had the slam and now he's unconscious.
I love how in this moment Elm looks the slightest bit concerned. Like she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we might have underestimated these
Yeah,
kids."
he's like, look, they're all. He's like, oh, what?
Uh-oh.
And Darrow's like, I'm next.
We're gonna be pulling like Vine's teeth out of the tiles for a week now.
Yeah.
This was amazing.
Oh, this
the
is so
slapstick
good.
of him being caught in between the spikes.
Weiss, you're
And then
so
him
cool.
jumping in between the pegs. I love it. I love this Marrow Weiss scene. I
And
love that look that Weiss gives, like, you dumbass, I can
Yeah.
still control this guy.
Yeah, because
And
it's
if you-
kind of with her mind in a sense.
And
right?
if you stop him, you can't stop me.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he can do it in a localized area.
Yeah.
Where, like, he can do it in facing this way.
Yeah.
But because Weiss
I
was
think the knight is
offside.
also very large. And
Yeah,
that has
I think that has something
with
to
it.
do with it.
Yeah, so Marrow, like, he's just on the ground.
I looked at that, I'm like, immediately, like, there's no way that Marrow's gonna beat Weiss.
the broken elevator still.
That's just not
Wow,
happening.
so here's something that happened is that like, she gets the cuffs, which
Yeah.
I didn't notice. And then she pedals,
Yes.
takes the cuffs, and puts her arms behind her back. But she still fights with her
Yeah,
arms behind her
I
back
noticed that,
later.
and she's
It's
only
so
kicks.
nuts.
It's a pretty
I
fun
didn't notice
sight.
that before.
Can we also talk
Finally,
about...
Weiss won a fight, a one-on-one. Listen.
Here's the thing, I really loved that fight, and I feel like
Weiss's strategy in this fight was Volume 5 redemption. Yeah, I mean, I
Yes.
feel like they've looked at all the criticism and really, like, said, fuck you, you know what I'm
Like,
saying?
we're gonna do,
we're
like-
gonna do everything that you guys complain
You
about.
think Weiss is boring in a fight? I'll show
Very
you boring in a
Kingdom
fight.
Hearts remind of you there, Rooster Teeth.
I like that, how the broken tiles, like, negates her aura. She flashes her semblance. Did you get a
Yeah,
good
because she
photo
shows
of
the gun at her!
Yeah.
And so she
Yes.
goes into her semblance, and
Oh,
then she
slams
slams
the
the
ground.
floor. Because she's been taking all these hits, so she saved them up to sort of slam like this, and it's
Do you
so
think
good.
that's part of...
Look at this! And then Blake coming from... This
looks-
reminds me of Morning Follows Night for some reason when they're flying in the sky. Like, Yang is going
Yes.
up, and then Blake on the moon. You know, the
Teamwork.
sun is rising, the moon is falling, and then you hit...
Teamwork. It looks very, in that moment, very like yin-yang.
Yes,
Kind of.
exactly. Because see,
They're
there's
like a
the yang,
complete
and
part
there's
of
the
themselves.
circle, and whee!
Also, that looks like severe pain for Elm. Also, do you think
She
maybe...
fell right on her boobs. Like,
yeah,
that's not
like
nice.
neck, boob, chin, that's just not
This
great.
is a terrible
Do
position.
you think some, like, her dirty, like, that's
A fetish.
gross? Do you
For
think some
someone.
people are fetish, like...
Probably.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Harry... Oh my god,
Spinning
this is
around with
crazy! And Hunter, what did you say? During your reaction, I was so shocked. Hunter was like, yeah, get her by the pussy or something like that. Like, Hunter said something like that during our reaction.
I
and
think it was...
like, oh my god!
I don't know if it was when they were fighting Harry.
No, it
or-
was, because
Okay.
her crotch is in her face, right?
Yeah, I think...
You said that, and I was like, oh my god, because, like, look at where Ruby's
I
head...
think he
like,
flipped-
Ruby's head is up her ass.
No, I think it was either Elm or it was this.
It was this, I think.
Ruby in a later frame or a later scene or later frame like punches her directly in the pelvis, and I yelled, "Yeah, get her in the pussy."
Yeah, but I think it was around here.
I think it was around
God,
there.
Hunter. Yeah, but if you guys haven't seen our reaction, it's up for patrons, $5 patrons on Patreon, or $5 YouTube membership members. Watch
was-
the reaction.
That was a Dave Chappelle joke of hit her in the pussy, but don't at
She's
me.
still fighting with her arms behind her back, and so I love that Weiss comes in and fucking decks her.
'Cause that's the thing.
Because that's the thing. Hare leaves Weiss alone with Marrow and let Marrow get his ass beat by Weiss.
She wants to do it entirely by herself. She's not a team player, and she dies precisely because she underestimates teamwork.
Exactly.
Ostensibly.
Yeah. And then her aura breaks.
Mm-hmm. And that was it. Like, that's the perfect way for her to lose this fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Of her to just concuss herself.
I love this scene. This is such a good
They're
scene.
just dragging bodies. It's hilarious.
Look at this.
And then finally we have some good...
This was so funny. This was such a good...
This
Whoever
beat-
wrote this scene, like this comedic beat, I just want to give you a hug. Like, I don't know which RWBY writer did it.
It was
RTX.
excellent.
I just want to, like... Thank you, Kersey. Thank you for giving us, or whoever, right? Like, whoever wrote this specific scene, I just want to give them a big hug because I love this scene. It is so great. Because
I
you
do
see
love
all
that
look at
everyone
it,
looks
and then
at them.
And then nobody does anything except Weiss, so I
Drop
just
the
drops
leg.
Marrow.
Everything's gone to shit. They're dragging bodies. They're like, you know that we're criminals now. Like, are we in trouble? Are we
But
gonna
see,
have to
I think
punch him out
Pietro
later?
does side with Team RWBY.
Immediately, yeah.
Because they're
Which
like,
I
this
think
is the part where
very...
they ask us for help. Maria said that. So Maria knows Team RWBY is innocent and Ironwood has gone off the deep end.
Yes.
And so does
And Pietro cares
Pietro.
about Mantle and wouldn't
Exactly.
abandon them. So I think that...
Exactly.
Honestly, the fact that we have not seen any Maria
This makes up for it. This
entirely
is the perfect
makes
scene.
up for it.
I don't care. This
I
is
ain't
the
even
best
angry anymore.
scene. This is the best.
Oh, this is some good shit.
And you know
Ugh.
what? Them being outlaws now, it doesn't really matter because in Vacuo and
Because
everyone's
and
an
we
outlaw.
talked about this earlier. Is now like before it was just Team RWBY by themselves, and
Yeah.
it felt weird that they had the might of an entire military on their
Yeah.
side. So the fact that now they're, I guess, underdogs again.
Maria
it
knows how to
feels more
hide a
like
body.
RWBY.
Oh boy.
She's just like, oh, okay, you have like, I've cut up a body with a scythe before.
Be gay, do crime.
Be gay, do crimes, absolutely.
So Oscar must be around here somewhere. And then I knew it. I was just like, as soon as Oscar came out, I'm like, that's not Oscar, it's Neo.
The way he
and we
smiles?
Get this too. The way
Yes.
he smiles, you can tell that it's Neo, and
It's
it's
off.
such a good
he isn't immediately like, guys, because he's panicky.
Right,
He would be panicking right now.
Here is the thing. Here is the tea.
And
we made a video about whether or not Neo could be gender fluid because we knew that she would turn into Oscar, right? And so we were like, if she turns into Oscar,
and I came up with the
idea, right?
that Neo as like someone with tricolored hair and with the eyes isn't actually how she is, and that she transforms from that. I don't know if being punched negates that idea,
or if she just did it.
Or if
herself. I feel like as soon as she got punched, she knew that the jig was up and just changed.
Yeah.
Right? Instead.
Part of me thinks that's the case.
And so I feel like Oscar kidnapping was resolved too quickly. Well, now they have to fight Neo. That's the tea. You know what I mean?
Also, I think we should do a video about what I think Neo's going to be like in the fight. But if she can't turn into anyone, she can turn into anyone.
Yeah.
She can really fuck with them.
Yeah.
We could learn a lot about Nora and about Oscar through that.
Yeah.
Because think about everything she knows about Team RWBY.
Yeah.
Everything she saw in Volume 3.
Not even that, she could turn into Pyrrha,
Yeah.
she can turn into Nora for Ren, she could turn into, I don't know, she could turn into Ren's dad. Like,
I don't know
I don't think she could turn into Ren's dad, she doesn't know Ren's
Or
dad.
maybe for Ren, she could turn into Nora,
Yeah,
and for
and then-
Nora, she could turn into Ren.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then Oscar, she could turn into RWBY.
I think she will definitely, she'll definitely turn
I love
into Pyrrha.
this because we were talking in the Discord server and someone was like, let Pyrrha rest! She has been dead! Let her rest for at least a volume! Like, people were like, oh, we're not getting any Pyrrha this volume, they have
And
laid
also-
it down, it has been resolved. Like, no, Neo is definitely gonna turn into Pyrrha,
Also,
and it's great.
like-
I'm glad that Neo can now turn into boys, so our theory is more even validated, okay? Go fuck yourself, that is my...
I think when they talked about Neo doing something that we would hate, I think that's what he was talking about.
What do you mean? Turn into Pyrrha?
Turn into Pyrrha.
That's possible.
And emotionally scarring Jean.
Emotionally scarring Jean.
That would be
I feel
really
like Neo
terrible.
is gonna kick their ass. Honestly, like I know that people
Neo's
are like,
a
how
motherfucker.
can Team RWBY win against the Aesops, and how can Neo win against Juniper? Like I feel like Neo can fuck with their head. Oscar has no fighting ability. I don't even see where his fucking cane is.
And the only people to ever beat Neo have been maidens, Raven and Cinder.
Yeah, exactly. Like Neo is like here, guys. Like
And
I don't know
Juniper's
if y'all
here,
realize,
so all four of them against her.
Neo is pretty strong.
That wouldn't even be a fair fight. Plus the ability for her to
it's
fuck with
basically
them.
3 against because Oscar's not gonna do anything.
That's
I feel
gonna
like
be-
Neo is gonna take the relic and run. I feel like that the heroes are gonna lose.
I also have another idea what she could do with it. I think we might save that for like the what's next for Neo video, but I think she might end up using that.
Look at her!
She's smiling, and that's
tell.
not Oscar.
You can just know
Oscar
that's
would
not
panic.
Oscar would not.
Also,
do
there's
that.
another great moment.
Neo
up
doesn't even
ahead.
have to win. She just has to take the relic. That's true. She doesn't even need to like beat them all until they're unconscious. She just needs to take the relic and run away. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Also, I think that the idea of like later on, you see when Oscar actually comes out, like she turned into someone.
Yeah.
They say someone, which means that potentially someone that Oscar
I
doesn't
have two
know.
theories about that.
Which could be.
People
could
are
that
saying
be,
we're overestimating Neo, but like you guys don't understand.
No,
Again,
man.
she doesn't need
Neo's
to
a
win. She
motherfucker.
doesn't need to beat everyone until they're unconscious. She just has to take the relic and get out of here. I don't think that that's too complicated. And Ren's semblance isn't really good against people because it's good against Grimm. So really, you have Nora and then you have Jean to power up Nora, but that's basically it. You know what I mean? Neo is on par with Cinder. They're definitely not going to win, yeah.
Well, no, Neo even wasn't on par with Cinder. Because Cinder was like...
Until Cinder brought out the maiden powers, I think people mean. Like, Neo has the power of Cinder when she's not a maiden. So it's like, the power scaling in Neo has gotten stronger. She's trained, right? Cinder said
and she's
that.
Gotten
like,
better.
I've gotten stronger, but it seems like you have
In
too.
Volume 2,
right? So if she's
kicked,
gotten stronger than Volume 2, where she kicked Yang's ass, I don't know.
In
I'm just
Volume
saying,
3, she kicks RWBY ass. RWBY was
all
only
she has
one
to do
because
is
she
get the relic from
clicked the
Oscar
umbrella.
and leave. Again, I'm not saying that she's gonna run everybody unconscious. I'm just trying to say, like,
I also think
don't
she might
see that
end
she
up
won't
using
win.
the lamp, which I think we'll get into in a separate video, but yeah,
Look at her
that's what that's
Neo
Neo.
face.
That look, because that's when Oscar like yells something, and that quizzical, that is a Neo
That
look.
is a Neo expression. Oh my god.
I love the modeling and the animation
like
on him.
Melanie said, right, there's a bunch of people that go into RWBY. It's not just animators.
Yeah.
I don't know if this would be model rigging, right? Like, I don't know who would do that exactly, but whoever is rigging
would
Neo's
look at Neo.
models' facial expressions, you can just tell that it's Neo. They're doing such a good job.
fucking
It's so
love
good.
Neo.
It's so good.
I love
It's
Neo
so
so
good.
much.
I love it.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
she's a
it's so good.
terrible person, but I love her.
Look at that! Like, that face is such a Neo face.
Like, that is a face of
wow,
Oscar.
look at
being
this man.
panicked.
This man is dirty. Like, he just got...
Did he
what
get
happened to
fire
you?
attack? It might have been fire attack, but then again, I don't know. Because he was scorched. So do you think
This
that
is
was
weird. Hold
unintentional? Or it was...
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so it switched, and then
Yeah.
the punch. I think
she
she just revealed it because she was like, the jig is up, I
Yeah,
guess.
'cause, like,
you know?
why even?
It was just a cool transformation
Oh, what?
scene.
Oh, she has a ice cream cone on her
Yeah,
back.
you didn't notice
I did
that?
not
She
know.
has a little
I like how we're
ice cream
getting
cone.
to see more of
The
her
rig would be the
outfit.
same one for Oscar. Facial expressions go to the animators. Yeah, see, I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm just saying that the facial expression, whoever's doing that's so good. I said rig because, like, do you think the eyebrows and the hair movement are all individual parts?
Or
Does
is
that make sense that you
more
have to, like,
or rigging
move?
more
Is
just
that,
the
like-
bodies?
Yeah.
I think
Again,
that might
I
be
don't
more-
know that much
We
about
don't know
the whole
stuff.
process.
It makes
right?
sense to make animation, but we also don't know anything.
But yeah, whoever's doing the facial expressions are so good. Like, I want to give that person a hug too. Like, you're just so talented. Because you can tell that it's Neo, even though it's not on her body, and that's such a skill. Like,
that
they're
might
so
ruin
good.
our idea if that did punch the, I don't know, the
Yeah.
costume out of her. That might ruin our idea of her looking like something else under
Yeah.
all of like the
I
tri-colored hair
don't
and the eyes.
think that it did that just because, I don't know. You
I
know
think
what I
it
mean?
is with you that like jig is up.
Because,
might
like,
as
the
well
whole
be myself.
airship thing
Yeah.
was pretty strong. Like, the airship stayed like that after. She didn't,
Yeah.
after you change something, she didn't have to do it again. So, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like she
I think
just changed it for the cool scene. This crazy girl showed up and attacked me. But she looked like someone else. Let's talk about that.
Was that just her dressed as?
So, here's the thing. Why would
waitress?
she be dressed as Pyrrha if Oscar doesn't know Pyrrha? Unless she thinks that they all know Pyrrha? Like, maybe she
Well,
doesn't
she knows
know.
who Pyrrha is, so it
Yeah,
makes sense why she would
But
have
she
later
doesn't
turned
know,
into her.
like, that would work on Oscar. Right? And wouldn't Oscar know who Pyrrha was?
Your
Like,
idea was interesting.
I think that he's just like, this crazy girl attacked me, but she looked like someone else, right? So I think that Oscar, I am determined. I think that Oscar is embarrassed because Neo showed up like RWBY and kissed him, and he just doesn't want to say that she looked like RWBY.
Which is very
you know what I
shippy,
mean? I think that
but it
he's
coulda-
being
yeah.
shy. I think that he's like, but she looked like someone else, right? Like, I don't know.
But it could have just been like, I mean, it could have been.
I think she looked like RWBY. I bet she was just that maid girl. But
Yeah.
that wouldn't make any sense to sneak into the school as a maid. She would have had to sneak in as someone else. She would have to sneak in as a student.
Maybe
or like
her
whatever.
student getup from Volume 3. Maybe we'll see a return from that.
But yeah, I feel like maybe she was dressed as a student. Like, maybe she was dressed as a student. Like,
As like the pilot outfit.
but I think it's either one of two things. It was someone that Oscar didn't recognize, so like she was dressed as like, you know, just a regular student or something like that. But I think that she looked like RWBY and Oscar just doesn't want to say it. I think that he just doesn't want to say that he got tricked.
I still am so down for the idea of Neo turning into Pyrrha and kicking Juniper's ass.
Yeah.
I am so
I think
down
she
for
is
that.
going to transform a lot in these scenes. Because look at how he's saying, that crazy girl attacked me, but she, you know, looked like someone else. Like, see how he's sort of bouncing on his legs? I don't know. I just feel like there's
Nervous
something
energy.
there.
I mean,
nervous energy.
He has a lot of reasons to be nervous. What if, but if she can transform objects, do you think is that the real one? Or is that just like a
What if
thermostat?
that's a fake relic? Yeah.
Yeah.
What if that's just a thermostat that's a relic? What if she does have it already? Because, hold on, what does Neo have on her person? Let's just...
I don't know, like she has stuff in her, she has pockets, like who knows, that could have been...
Well, she does look down and notices it's gone, right? So I don't know, but that would be cool if she does do a switcheroo where she transforms an object to make it look like the relic, and
or
then
it
she
becomes
takes the real
like
one.
maybe that could be part of the fight is that they play hot potatoes with the relic and she
Yeah.
turns a hand grenade into one or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I was concerned that she was gonna ditch the umbrella, but I'm glad to see the umbrella's back.
And look at this, it has
As
the...
the pointy end,
the
the murder
pointy
umbrella.
end.
I love that face. She's like, don't you fight, like, I'll cut you. I love that. She's so evil, and yet I still can't help myself but love her.
But is she evil? What if Neo turned the ice cream keychain into the relic?
That would be fun.
Yeah, that would
But
be
then
great.
again, that raises the question, like, So
Oscar's holding a brick, and then Neo's.
Is she like, if let's say that's like a I don't know,
She always had that little ice cream, guys, but I
Yeah.
do approve of that theory. But at the same time, why would she fight them then,
so
just for fun?
if she turned that smaller ice cream thing into a larger.
Yeah.
Does that?
How does that work when you
does
hold
that mean
it?
it's
and all
like?
that
Is
stuff?
it like? Does it become like a crystal ball, like a hollow
I
ball?
guess, yeah.
Does that mean it's rattling inside? Is it filled with goop? Is it solid? It raises questions.
See, it goes on, it zooms in on the relic and then zooms in on Neo. So it's like that Neo just wants the relic. I feel like that says a lot without her having to speak. But at the same time, I would like her to do a switcheroo later. I don't think the switcheroo already happened, or else why would she fight them? She would just run away. She would just leave. But no, she's like, we're going to kill you if you don't give us the relic. So that happened.
I really loved this scene.
I think
She
this is
wasn't
good.
even done her painting.
Neo makes 2 relics and then they get confused. Yeah, exactly.
Do you
That's
think we
exactly
know what
I
that
think.
painting is of? Because it just seems like...
No, it just
no.
seems like ice and stuff. Kind of looks like you could see it as a dress, like the end of like
Maybe.
an Elsa
It
dress.
would be interesting if that painting had some like allusion to Nora. Because
Yeah,
I'm
but
still...
I don't think we can find that.
I
You
love
said-
the-
I love
yeah.
how Penny says you said your personal feelings do not matter.
Won't change my actions. This is one of my favorite Winter moments and Penny moments so far. I mean, there's been a lot of excellent Penny moments in this
Yeah.
episode. But this idea of she's just acknowledging that, like, I have to do what I have to do, but I have to also acknowledge
So
it
I
doesn't
wonder,
always feel good.
did they convince Freya that it's time to die and like we gotta go? Like how
Maybe.
maybe she was already unconscious because
Well,
she's
because
just
she was like making noises, so...
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I like how
You know
Winter
what-
says that we must still acknowledge our personal feelings. Like you can pay respect for her,
Wrestle with
with that. Like you can pay respect for the dead, and like
We're on that right path.
you know.
It keeps us human.
I really like
Makes it-
that.
And it's
Is
like
that-
makes us human, that we're both human.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's very validating for
Yeah.
Penny.
I agree. I really like that scene, and I do also like it just because, I guess, I don't know, the wrestle with them, like, if you wrestle with your convictions, that's how you know it's true. You know what I mean? Like a Descartes meditation. You gotta prove that you're not real, so you can prove that you're real. and
Your
stuff,
values
right?
don't really matter unless they cost you something.
Yeah, unless
they
you challenge them, unless they can be
Or they
challenged and you
challenge
can
you.
defend them, right? That's the whole thing.
And I think her beliefs are being challenged. And,
Boom!
yep. And they're
right
immediately
on
like,
time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And she's starting to wake. So do you think she will wake up and start fighting? This scene was
That would
terrifying,
kinda
where
be-
like you don't see her, then
Yeah.
the lights flash, and you're like, oh goddamn.
Well, you can
This
see
is-
her, I think.
Yeah,
Hold
but
on.
initially, like, she's kind of camouflaged until the lights come.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, you wouldn't notice it at first. You notice it on
Unless
sort
in
of
my
the
experience,
second,
yeah.
like, light up, right? Yeah.
It's terrifying. Like, it felt like a horror movie.
And Winter is like, damn it! And then she tries to...
Because it's weird, because you
lock the
don't
door.
see, like, Winter...
You would think this door would be...
panic.
Ironwood has a fucking panic room, but you couldn't install the same metal sheet onto this
It's
door.
almost like
you know what I mean?
Ironwood values his self more than
I mean,
other
she
aspects.
broke the stuff around
Yeah,
it,
you know
too,
what, that's
so-
fair, but I also like the idea that Winter is so couth and in
Winter!
control.
Yeah.
But here
Poor
she's
Winter.
just got
She's
this
like,
shit.
fuck! Let
like,
Winter
panic?
say fuck! Please!
She's panicked, and I think that's a really great moment. I also didn't notice that initially, but you see more of her outfit. I dig
Yeah,
it.
she took her coat off, or she put her cape basically on her back
I
instead of
dig it.
having it at the front.
I like it. Kind
It
of
reminds me of Ilya,
yeah.
and I don't like that. I don't
I
like
like
Ilya's
Ilya's.
outfit, so...
It's her most
That's
subtle,
awkward.
but I think that's interesting in that this is like redemption Cinder.
Yeah,
So she's
she
not
can change
as...
her clothes later anyway. I
So
mean,
this
she
is
can-
Cinder being like more subtle, like almost like she's wearing black and not red, out of a sense of like
Yeah.
I have to earn my stripes. I have to
What
earn
if
looking
Freya
fabulous.
just dies in the middle of the fight and then the powers go to a random? Well, that's how I think that Nora would get
What
the
if
powers.
Fira
be
starts
honest.
fighting? Because our early idea is that
She can't
she
just
would
stab
look up-
Freya and get out of there, though, guys. Remember, she can't, like, Freya needs to know that it's her, right? So her eyes are closed. She wouldn't know
maybe
if
she would
Cinder
look
just
at
gets her.
Winter. Our guess earlier, a lot earlier in the seasons, that Winter would look at, or Fira would look at Winter, think Winter, because she has dementia or something, is Nora, and Nora gets the powers.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Nora could get the powers still. Like, especially if they just they fight amongst themselves and then they let Freya die. Because that's very much the theme, right? It's like Clover and Crow fighting amongst themselves and then Clover die. Like, it's sort of the same thing. This is so, yeah, she can't just steal it. She has to do it, like, properly. You know what I mean?
Ironwood's puppets.
Through the the Grim Bug, though, was very specific. Amber was already incapacitated. Like, she can't just pull out the Grim and put it on Freya, because the cord has to, like, the powers have to basically suck into her body. She can't do that unless she gets rid of these two first, right? So there's always going to be a fight. You know what I mean? You guys understand what I'm saying? Like, she can't just go in there and be like, and then, like, because then if Winter severs the connection, that's it, right? She has to get rid of those two first. Yeah, we have two threesomes in this episode, the gay and the lesbian.
Yeah, I guess so. 2 threesomes from hell.
Yeah.
With one really
Cinder's so sexy
member.
with these lines, like,
Yeah, you have...
both of Ironwood's puppets. Lucky me. Like, just how she says it, like, ah.
Are you joining the horny for Cinder train?
It's so, like, she just has such a, I mean, like, I know they were trying to emulate Lust from Full Metal, and I think Lust does do it a little better.
Or do
well,
you
I just think that that's what they were trying to do, especially with her lines. It's very Lust-like, right? So I think that, you know, obviously you can't replace the original voice actress for Lust, but I think that Jessica does a good job of
Jessica does an excellent
doing
job.
it. You know what I mean? Oh, Cinder, how we missed you. We really did.
So it doesn't look like, because we have 1 episode left, it doesn't really look like we're going to get her back.
It was unfortunately temporary. Yeah, Cinder backstory is probably not this season either.
That line, it was unfortunately temporary, is a motherfucker.
That was such, because this is how, like,
so
some
sassy.
of the fandom felt, too, about,
Penny, ironically. Step aside or there won't be anything left to salvage this time.
Yeah, so they're saying step aside, so she's actually letting them get away with their lives as long as she gets the powers, which I think is character development moment for her. You know what I mean? Instead of just killing everyone.
Because I also think that, like, because she underestimated Raven, I think.
Right, and so she knows that it's better to let them live and let them go away and just get what she wanted than try to fight them and get what she wanted. She can't have her cake and eat them, too. And she did the same thing with
Neo. She didn't fight to the death with Neo. She was like...
I like that. I think that gives me personal feelings. And so Penny's like...
I love that it works so much for a character that she doesn't have the language to explain her feelings,
like she doesn't
but
say
it
that
does
she's
an adequate
angry
job.
or that she wants revenge. Because here's the thing. Angry is one thing. Revenge is a very complex emotion. She wants revenge on Cinder for Cinder causing her death, but she doesn't know how to explain that in words yet. So now we talk about probably the thing that is going to cause the most discourse in this episode, which is this.
The end of this fight, where Crow...
Wow, he just fucking...
This is what I talk about, that you can't trust an opening, was the exact opposite. Crow and Tyrion are fighting.
Yeah.
It's entirely different.
So yeah, it was just, there's a really nice...
There's a couple scenes here where you can tell that, like, I think Crow gets knocked out and then Tyrion pushes him back with his tail, that he just really wants to see, like, them fight. He's totally using them.
Look at him! Right in the face!
God.
Boom! And then he, like, body slammed him, right? And so he got yeeted.
That's what it is. He pushes him off with his tail.
Yeah, so like, get back in there, Crow! Get back in the ring,
It's totally... He's playing, like, he's gonna wear them out, so it's easier for him to take them both down.
So, if you guys pledge on Patreon to get the reaction, you guys will see. So, when Clover dies, unfortunately, the look on my face is sort of like...
I look terrified.
And I wasn't smiling because he's happy.
That was like a shock.
But I have a problem of inappropriate facial expressions. No, I'm so serious.
Yeah,
because I was shocked, but my shocked face looks like a smile, unfortunately. Yeah. But you guys can see. And so I know that people are going to give me shit for that, especially with the other Clover shit I've been getting on Twitter or whatever. But you can see after my face goes like... or something, right? But you can see that the life just drains out of me after, and I'm just sitting here with my head down, like... And you guys can just see that I'm, like, dead inside. I looked
because you stopped, because I was still saying stuff. You stopped talking.
I was just
the
like...
The light faded from
exactly.
me.
So you guys
I've never seen you defeated from a show before.
And so I didn't feel like I was going to cry because I didn't have that much emotional attachment to him.
Oh, I thought it was give or take for me. I was like...
I saw Hunter and I was like, Hunter's going to start crying.
I was holding it in.
So just to clarify, if you guys see that video, trust me, I was not smiling because I was happy. It was a really cool shot and it was shock, and like you guys can see afterwards just the light fade from my eyes and how it's just
I think I yell holy shit, which is very telling.
He like hooks his leg and he gets like
yeets him to the ground, and then
Tyrion is shooting at him and all this stuff.
It's yanks
pulled
his ponytail.
his hair. That's such a line.
Such a like, I don't know, like he's fighting dirty.
Such
like
a line, such a shot. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, like you can't just pull a man's hair like that. But yeah, so Crow loses his sword, and instead of getting it, he's just like, you know.
They're fighting. He gets tied up.
Yeah.
Again. He looks at that, looks back, just runs up and punches him in the...
Yeah, because he's like...
Fucking idiot.
Yeah, so this is where things get kind of the idiot part. Because he could have grabbed his sword. Because I feel like Crow saw the opportunity here to get rid of both of his problems. Tyrion was tied up, and then he could just punch Clover. And so I feel like that is sort of the fault here.
Or just go after... Recognize that, like, you can, like, tussle it out after you... Because I really don't think Clover and Crow would have killed each other.
No, I don't think... No, I don't think so.
I don't think they would have.
But I think that Crow sort of saw, like, oh, Tyrion's incapacitated, so I'll incapacitate Clover as well. Like, I don't think that that Crow intended for Clover to get hurt like this. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm like, I don't like when the fandom sees things black and white. Like, Clover is evil, or like Crow is evil. Like, Clover did nothing wrong. Like, I hate that that's, the situation is very complicated. And Crow did this because he thought Tyrion was tied up. He thought that Tyrion wasn't going to be able to get out of that, But he did, so. Yeah, why couldn't you just do the right thing? And so that's what he says. He trusts James with his life, but James is wrong. Yeah. That's the thing, and that's why they blame Ironwood, right?
Fucked up. I wanted to trust you.
This is where, I don't know how Tyrion got behind Clover without anyone noticing, but he grabbed...
He was too big. Oh, man. Just that, before that line, where it's just like his line of like, I wanted to trust you. Was that... Whose line? Was that Crow's line or was that Clover's?
Clover's line.
That, like, I wanted to trust you. Oh, man.
Tyrion could have still stabbed Clover with his own weapon. Yeah, and so that's the thing, right? Like, this is the downfall of it all.
It's almost, it's almost right he chooses his, Crow's weapon just to fuck with him more.
I don't understand why they both chose to go with the homicidal maniac instead of dealing with him first. And so that's the thing. Crow goes with the homicidal maniac because Clover is trying to get them both. And so it seems like a better idea, right? Because Clover overestimates his ability. What I think is stupid is that Clover goes for both of them. You know what I mean? So I think that Clover's more in the wrong there than Crow, because Crow is just doing it because it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend in a fight, I guess. Whereas Clover is like, oh, well, I know that, this could put Crow in danger if Tyrion is fighting both of us at the same time, but I don't care.
I think that our first impression of him was more accurate, that we thought he was a big dumb jock who believed in himself too much.
Yeah, and I think it was. I think that was right.
Ultimately, I think that was our first impression was pretty accurate.
I know, and like that's tragic. Why I'm like, I hate that people like sort of had to go at us for that. Like, no, in the end, that is who he is.
I also feel like, I don't know, are we gonna do a ship video? A retroactive ship video?
Hold on, did we do Clover X
I think
Crow?
we did. Or at least we certainly talked about the potential.
We did the Crow being gay video, right?
Yes.
Hold on.
Because with this, I feel like...
Yeah, we did do a RWBY Do You Ship It.
I feel like... And we did ship it too, which is upsetting.
That's awkward.
I feel like this ship is going to be like Arcos. Wasn't around for very long, ended tragically, still very popular.
We spent a lot of time, though, doing a... What am I trying to say? We did... spend time, though, talking about Ironwood and, like, the different sort of ships going on. So it was a Clover and Crow shipping video, but it was also, like, sort of the pros and cons of multiple gay ships that Crow was involved in video. I may change the title and stuff for that just because it's more like Clover versus Ironwood. Who's the best for Crow? Neither. Like, neither of them are
Crow
good.
needs, like, a better... He was good. Oh, God.
Yeah, so...
Just the fact that it's not like you don't... The fact that they hide the degree in which he is injured. Because it's like, oh, it's in him.
All you see is the blood at first.
And it's this image that you finally realize, oh, he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
And this still shot is, I think, going to be really famous. As famous as the silhouette shot
Blake
from
and
Volume
Adam,
3,
right? So that was what I was
Yang
thinking. And I was just
arm.
looking for that now because I think someone posted that on Twitter.
It is upsetting and jarring.
I think that
gorgeous.
Someone posted that this scene is... Oh, I lost the live stream. Sorry, guys. Hold on. I think that is very similar to the scene of Blake and Yang, where Adam cuts off Yang's arm.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Clover... Again, Clover dies to his own hubris. Yeah.
He did, unfortunately.
Yeah. So somebody's like, Clover did nothing wrong, and I'm just like, guys, we talked about this.
And I feel like him turning like that isn't out of left field. Like, they've been the whole idea of like loyalty to this idea more than to each other was built up. The fight between Team RWBY and Aesop's and this fight has all been really built up really well. Yeah, this is
really nicely stylized, especially with the black silhouette, the red, and the sort of gray. Like, Crow's always sort of gray, you know what I mean? Like, this is his own.
Man. And it's not so much as still it. Oh, God. I forget the voice actor for Crow's name here, but his voice acting Jason was excellent.
I wonder if Crow will take the pin.
Pick that up. I think that's going to be a thing from him.
But yeah.
No. Oh, God. It's just very... Yeah, you're not going to survive that.
You can even sort of see the darkness of, like, the hole in him.
Yeah, that's a lot of wounds. Oh, boy.
And then you can see the blood coming out of him.
I was genuinely... This is the most blood I think RWBY has ever shown. This volume.
I love
this.
I'll kill you!
I was always... I was worried something like this was going to happen because, like, in the Penny scene, in the... during Election Day, there was a lot of blood. I'm like, oh, if Yang lost her arm in this volume, there would be blood everywhere.
Right. Oh, you mean like how you just killed Clover and then the cops are coming?
Oh,
this is where I'm like, Crow, please turn into a bird and go away.
This was like a bad 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
He just punches him and he's like, looks like our squirrel will have to... He sounded like he was doing a impression of Watts there. Which is just
You know my track record with the authorities.
That's
and then look at him.
Great...
Oh, it's such a good line. He does such good...
I just love it. Good. The fact that he's just having so much fun and he's like almost mocking Watts who's not even there because he did a better job.
So look at him. Look at this. Hold on.
And he's just running in the background.
Bounce. Crow can't fly away because he's abandoning Robin, but the cops are coming. They'll find Robin, so she'll be okay. I think he can run. You know, because if the police are coming... Then they'll help Robin. You know what I mean? Like, the plane was right over. So I think Robin will be fine. I think that Crow won't stay just because, like, Robin... He knows that Robin will get the help, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That is an open chest wound. Oh, someone had to take the fall. I don't know... James will take the fall.
I don't know what that means exactly.
Someone will have to take the fall.
You know, like, I thought about that line a lot, but I guess it's just, like... You know... If Tyrion were, like, it's framing again. Yeah. Like, it's framing like Penny. Like, someone had to take the fall. Like, he meant that you took
who's
the fall.
To blame for my death? And Crow says Ironwood is to blame for my Clover's
James
death.
Will take the fall. Yeah, see how angry Crow is? I'll make sure of it. So this is all Ironwood's fault.
Yes.
Because really, that's what I do think at the very end, is that... We can say, oh, you know, Clover's an asshole, like, Crow is stupid, Clover is stupid, and they are both stupid. But who pinned them against each other?
Can we talk about
Ironwood pinned them against each other, right? Ironwood knew that they were both on the aircraft, right, at the same time, transporting the prisoner. It's Ironwood's own negligence that caused this, right? And so I'm like, don't pit two queens against each other, okay? Don't pit Clover and Crow against each other and be like, oh, well, Clover did this, Crow did that, because we've already both unpacked what they both did wrong. Mm-hmm. But really, who is at fault here? Ironwood, because if Ironwood didn't do this and Ironwood thought about it a little bit more, you know what I mean? Like, Ironwood neglected Clover. It's like, oh, well, Clover died so many could live. Right? Like,
I think
it's really Ironwood's sort of fault. It's
ironic that our first, or at least my first impression of Ironwood and sort of our first impression of Clover from those first episodes ended up being a lot more accurate. Yeah. And we almost lost that way throughout the process, and it came back. It was so excellent with setting up these ideas.
Let's talk about
the sunrise.
Let's talk about bury your gaze a wee.
And then they say good luck, and he looks back down, and he's gone.
Because here's the thing.
I thought they were gonna kiss. I'm not gonna lie.
So let's talk about tropes now, just to sort of sum up, and then we'll talk about what's going to happen next week, because we will make a separate video on this, but you guys seem desperate in the chat to know. Is this bury your gays? No. Because bury your gays, right, we've talked about this before, is, I don't want to say like a systematic trope, because that doesn't make a lot of sense, but bury your gays is when, in media, the gay characters do not, like, basically, like, oh, you know, these characters don't deserve happiness, so we're gonna kill them, or we're gonna give them AIDS, or we're gonna punish their gayness, right? Like, if you... I can't think of a good example now.
How I would describe it is that people view queer people as inherently more tragic.
Yeah, exactly. But it's more intentional, like, oh, we're gonna kill off this gay character, because you know what it always reminds me of? When we got that comment, like, I hope that Ilya and Saffron and Tara all die, so the writers can show that being gay is bad.
I wonder how
that sort of
that
comment,
person probably feels good about.
You know what I mean? Like, somebody made that type of comment, and that's what it is for. It's like, if you are gay, you will live a tragic life, and you will die terribly, and you will die young, and you will suffer. So don't be gay. That is the purpose of it in books. What is happening with this is it's like RWBY has a good ratio of, like, gay characters not dying,
I think,
right?
I think a salient
point
is
so I don't think that RWBY is burying your gays, because they're, like, you know what I mean? Like, gay characters are not punished in RWBY at a more frequent rate compared to straight characters.
A good example.
Does that make sense? If Yang died and Blake died and Clover died, I would be like, okay, yeah, they're obviously killing the gays. But
like
you
good
have
example
characters
of a
that
show.
are straight that are equally dying. You know what I mean? It's the gay characters are not disproportionately dying, so I do not think it's bury your gays.
A good example of bury your gays, I think, is Dragon Prince. There was 4 canonically queer characters, 3 of them are dead. When you look at RWBY, there was Ilya, there's Blake and Yang, there's Saffron, there's Terracotta, there's Coco.
Because that's a 75% ratio with Dragon Prince. Like, they're not doing that
there's
great.
There's Coco, there's May. There could even be more characters. And then there was Clover and possibly Crow, and Clover died. So that's less than, out of all the characters, that's only one of them out of all of those queer characters.
The first thing, right? And so I don't think that it's bury your gays. Okay?
And at least, and I think with bury your gays,
and so I know that people are going to argue, like, oh, but those are all
tragedy
girls.
Porn.
But you guys have to understand that it's, most of the gay characters are girls, because the show is supposed to focus on female empowerment in women. Because people are basically arguing, like, that it doesn't matter if there are other gay characters in terms of the male representation. There's only 2, so it's bury your gays. I don't think that that's
fair,
I don't think that's
I
fair.
understand why
like, people
some
don't
people
understand,
are upset.
People don't understand that this is not bury your gays. RWBY is not burying your gays. If you want to say that RWBY is burying, like, it's
literal, like, gay
literal
men,
homosexuals, like, then I guess. But the cast is mostly female, so does it not make sense that most of the gay people would be, like, the gay characters that they want to show are women? Like, Blake and Yang are in Team RWBY. If Blake and Yang were male characters and the show wasn't focusing on girl power, they would be a male ship. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, it's just because of how RWBY is specifically focusing on female empowerment particularly. So that's, like, the first thing, right? Is that people have to sort of understand, like, it's, I don't know.
But
I think it's unfair to say that
people are upset.
I'll talk about the second part, because we're going to talk about queer baiting, which is separate from bury your gays. So is this bury your gays? I don't think so, because, like, that sort of implies that RWBY is intentionally burying the gays. But we know that RWBY is good with representation, so basically, go fuck yourself. The thing
I don't think it's go fuck yourself.
With bury
I think
your
it's
gays,
entirely...
with accusing them of bury your gays. If we want to say queer baiting, that's something that we should talk about. I think that has a lot more validity to it. But
I think
bury your gays feels insulting because RWBY has done such a good job representing, you know, like, non-binary characters, trans characters, other, like, bisexual characters, lesbian characters, you know what I mean? And, like, there have been gay male characters, right?
Yeah, but it's, I mean, I guess
not
Scarlet...
as, like,
prominent
not as much,
as Crow,
right? Not
Clover.
as prominent, but I'm just saying that, like, bury your gays feels like it's accusing RWBY of something, of bad representation, and I don't think that they deserve that. If we want to talk about queer baiting, that has more to do with the marketing team and not RWBY, right? And so that's a distinction, right? I feel like bury your gays is unfair because it targets RWBY and says something about RWBY and, like, how they're doing representation, and I think that RWBY doesn't deserve that. This is one of the most representative shows.
I think we can acknowledge that while also saying that like it's like perfectly okay if you were excited about the idea of like finally like a canonically gay character and then they die before their time. I totally understand being upset. Is that bury your gays? I think that's I tend to maybe lean more to your side. So I think that's kind of black and white.
Here's the thing about queer baiting. So I think that this is different, okay? Because queer baiting is what you're saying. We were excited for a gay character and now he's dead, right? Because again, like that's. I know that they intersect, but bury your gays is different from the queer baiting, right? Like bury your gays is if all the gay characters in RWBY were just dying, or
like in Dragon Prince.
The thing is about queer baiting is that with this, I don't know who's to blame for this exactly, right? You know,
I mean, I think they are.
Who is at fault here? Because the marketing team was sort of teasing about it, like the marketing team. No. So the RWBY Twitter account basically made some sort of joke that was sort of hinting at Clover and Crow getting together. That's the marketing team though. Like I'm not sure who posted that tweet and who. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know who posted that tweet and who's responsible for that.
Just because they never like were properly boyfriends or in a relationship doesn't mean they didn't have romantic feelings for each other. Doesn't mean he's not gay.
So here's the thing. I don't think that the fandom was delusional or crazy or whatever, because here's the problem, okay? You have the marketing team who is making tweets about it, right? Who is making sort of tweets that are gay coded
and like
we
contributed to
that.
So
that's one, right?
We
like
made
that's
videos about
right,
this.
but that's a marketing team. That's the official sort of marketing team. They like RWBY probably should have said like, hey, maybe don't do that since they're not gonna get together, right? You know, so that's the problem is that is not RWBY's fault. That is the marketing of the show, I would argue. You know what I mean? The official RWBY Twitter account and all that stuff, like, teasing, basically. The other problem that I see is that the animators, and, like, listen, I love Kim Newman. She did great work on the show, right? She's not, like, she's at a different studio now. But here's the thing, right? And so you guys are like, oh, well, you know, like, they didn't do that, or they specifically said, right, that they tried to make the Iron Crow hug as gay as possible. Then Kim was like, oh, I forgot, like, this is when, like, you know, Crow now has 2 boyfriends, right? There was a lot of teasing there about, like, the Crow scene with Ironwood being gay and that Clover, like, oh, I love seeing my boyfriends. And they did that a lot, and it wasn't just her, it was other animators, and so I'm not blaming her. But the problem is when you have animators that are saying stuff like that, because you guys are like, oh, like, you know, they're manufacturing problems that didn't exist. The problem is that when the animators are saying stuff like that, that's egging on the fandom. I don't think that the fans were delusional or anything to think this at all. I don't think that the fans were sort of out of line with thinking this. The problem is that when you have animators saying it, people think that it's true.
And here's the thing. I think it is true.
Yeah, and
I think he is gay. I think Crow is bi.
And I think that Crow will be
will have another like fling
that
in
moment,
some capacity.
You know what I mean? I think that they will confirm them, like, that they both had feelings for each other and it just didn't work out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that later on in the show, you know, Crow will do that. Like,
and listen, sometimes gay people are sellouts, like Clover is. He's like the Pete Buttigieg of, like...
And I know you guys are like, Crow's not allowed to have friends, I guess, but guys, do you not understand? The animators said it was gay, okay? Like, that's what we have to talk about. Like, do you guys not understand that? Like, the animators were saying that it was gay, right? And so I understand, like...
It's subtext, but it's pretty heavy subtext.
Like, I don't know, it just annoys me because I'm looking at the chat and I wish I could moderate you guys a little better, because it's like, oh, well, they didn't say it was gay, why can't Crow just have friends, why can't they just be bros? Guys, the animators said it was gay, right? Like, is that my fault? Is that my fault for making a Crow LGBT video if they're all saying that he's gay, right? You know what I mean? It's not the fandom overreacting. The animators are literally talking about how gay stuff is on Twitter. And so if you want to be mad at someone for queer baiting, I don't think that anyone should be mad that Clover is dead. I think people should more be mad that the animators were teasing it and they possibly already knew that Clover was gonna die. I think
it's a mixture of a lot of feelings. Is that they clearly liked each other, but they didn't quite get to a relationship.
They said the action was gay, not the characters, but they didn't. They said, oh, like now Crow has 2 boyfriends. That's not about the action of the hug. They said that they made the hug gay as possible, which is another problem.
Maybe they meant that as a joke and people took it seriously.
But with the boyfriends thing, like with the boyfriends thing all the time, like that's, you know what I mean?
I think that it's a mixture. If people are feeling upset, and I saw a couple, but honestly, I'm surprised there wasn't a massive backlash.
Yeah.
Like, there was a bigger backlash over Adam dying. You know?
I don't know. It's just that if the animators are saying that multiple times, I feel like they just need to be controlled a little better.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because that's when things
Or
cause
maybe
problems.
they didn't know he died, and they genuinely...
Yeah, I don't think they did, because she stopped working on episode 6, or around episode 6.
So it's entirely possible
problem,
he didn't
right?
know, like, she was saying those things, and it's just a big fuck
Yeah,
up.
the marketing team is full of trolls. That's basically what happened by accident, right?
But, like, it worked. We did videos about it. People were talking about it.
And so, I definitely don't think that it's Kim's fault, because, like, she didn't know. She stopped working after a number of episodes. But what I do think is that RWBY sort of has to rein in the marketing team, because then they cause problems. Because when people see that, that is when RWBY gets accused of queer baiting. Mm-hmm. Even though, like, you can't control what an animator says if they no longer work for you.
Even in
right?
the show, everyone was like, well, they clearly, like... You know, there's something going on.
But do you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
It's like...
Even outside of that,
they just
material to the show.
They just need to reel in the marketing team a little bit, and I feel like they should probably talk about their animators posting stuff on Twitter, because here's the thing, even if you're joking, even if you don't work on the show anymore, people are gonna, like, take what you say as fact because you worked on the show. And I feel like that's sort of a problem, like, you know what I mean? And so I feel like that they just have to sort of be like, hey, like, we know you're excited about the episode, we know you don't work for us anymore, but you could really rile up the fandom, because I feel like if Kim didn't tweet that stuff, and again, like, don't go attack her, it's not her fault, but if Kim didn't tweet that stuff, I feel like it wouldn't be as bad. Or if the marketing team didn't tweet what they tweeted.
I genuinely think that there is stuff built into the show.
No, it definitely is, but I feel like
that
people got the idea of confirmation. Because remember, like, it's sort of like how Caden confirmed that May was trans on Twitter, right? People take, oh, the animator said this on Twitter, so now it's fact in terms of in the show, right? But I feel like that people have to realize, unless it's Miles, Carrie, or even the voice actors,
someone
like,
says he's not gonna die. I don't know about that.
He's dead, guys. He's dead.
That
guys,
motherfucker looks like he's prepared for open heart surgery.
Can you guys see this? Okay, he has the eyes, and then the light fades. Like, he's dead, guys. He's dead. Eddie's replying to people on Twitter about that right now. Like, when someone tweeted on the team, like, somebody liked a post about Nora being trans on Twitter, and then everyone thought that was true. That is all that I am saying, right? Is that I understand that some people think that the fandom can get out of control or whatever, but when people egg it on, I feel like that's kind of a problem. You know what I mean? With the Nora being trans thing, that was such a reach. Like, oh, she liked my tweet, I guess it's canon, right? But with the gay tweets and the gay stuff, yeah, I just feel like they do need to reel in the people that work on the show a bit and get them not to say that stuff. I think
what annoyed people is the use of friends.
Yeah.
That they kind of gals being pals bit near the end.
Yeah.
I can understand people being I can understand people being upset with how this happened.
I'm thinking, like, I'm like, who's the asshole in this situation? Honestly, I think it's the marketing team, but that's what PR is. The marketing team was doing their job. They were getting people to talk.
You know how you would make this...
They were getting people riled up on purpose, the marketing team, and that's their job. You know how you would make this
way better is not use the fucking word friend. Be like, I thought we had... Even if it's
I thought
cliche,
we had something.
That's cliche. Better than the first cliche, I think, but better than just friends. Because I think that's what bothered people with the queer baiting, is that idea of friends, even though it'd been
just gals being pals, just bros being bros. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that the marketing team may have, like, pulled out some sketchy things, but that's the point. That's the point of PR. That's what we learned in school. You gotta be a little, not clickbaity, but you know what I mean? You gotta get people talking, and they saw that people were going nuts about Clover and Crow, so they posted a picture, right? Or they posted the meme.
Does it bother me? Yes.
With the animator stuff, like, again, with Kim tweeting, she doesn't work there anymore, but people still took what she said as fact. She didn't know that Clover was gonna die because she stopped working there. And so I feel like people probably shouldn't attack RWBY for what the marketing team and what the animators did. But is it their responsibility to maybe reel people in a little more and get them to sort of prevent situations like this from happening, like, in the future?
Lord knows they were already throwing out, like, scenes from episodes.
I don't think that people would be calling it queer baiting as much. You know what I mean?
If
like, I feel like those main
friends.
problems were the shit on Twitter and then them being like, just bros being bros, just gals being
The
pals.
friends is where the queer... And honestly, I understand where people are upset. I wish they handled it better. I'm less upset about him dying. I'm more upset about the friends thing.
Yeah,
Personally,
to
I
some
think it
extent,
could have been better.
I think that we'll just have to see how it progresses. I don't want to blame RWBY for anything until we get the final sort of Atlas arc. Because we don't know, what if, like, Crow does go to Ironwood later and is like, Ironwood's like, I'm sorry that Clover had to die, but it's the needs of the many and it's the needs of the few. And Crow was like, he was like the only person that understood me and I loved him and you asshole, right? If Crow does that, is that queer baiting? No, because that's the admission, right? Just because it doesn't happen now doesn't mean it won't later. And that's sort of my problem with the fandom, is that they jump on RWBY before it's done, right? There's lots of time for Crow to be like, fuck you, Ironwood, I loved him, you know, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so in Volume 8, when he sees Ironwood and confronts Ironwood, and like Ironwood's like, I'm like, Clover was the unfortunate loss. Like, no, Clover meant more to me than just one of your pawns, Ironwood. And then they fight, right? There's still a lot of time, and that's my problem with the fandom, is that they're jumping like, oh, this is queer baiting, but we're not done yet.
That's a
Crow
good point.
is taking his revenge on
You know
Ironwood. We're not finished, so stop it.
That's
Leave
a very
them alone.
good. That's a very good point that we can still expand that. My point, that's kind of similar.
Because Clover's dead, and yeah, that sucks. But if Crow is if Crow sort of talks about his feelings later and gets revenge on Ironwood, then we'll have the confirmation. Just wait. Like, I just want people to wait before they decide. Does that make sense? Just wait for Crow to do something. If he's like, he was my best friend, we were bros, then I'll be like, okay, maybe that's a little queer baiting. But you don't know what he'll say to Ironwood later.
Yang and Blake.
Exactly.
But no, it's developing. What I thought was going to happen, and how I justified this to myself, I guess, and how I think it works, is that I think Crow's, I guess, development is being able to learn to love himself.
Yeah.
And he learned a lot of that from Crow, but he also had to accept that he needed someone that would put him first and not his job first.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this is a stepping stone to, I guess, his character development of becoming a better, like, more self-actual, like, person that loves himself. And I think it's the kind of Zuko school of it's not a straight line. If Crow was just... Like, because I think you would mention yourself, like, well, what good is Crow anymore if he's done his character arc?
I think he is going to get his revenge.
This is not his revenge might even put him back a little, that he's not, like, healthy anymore.
I think that this is a good point. Just let the audience make their own assumptions about characters and build the story with the show itself. They don't need to, I guess, supplement ideas in the fandom's heads with tweets. And yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But yeah, I think this is just another stepping stone of Crow's character arc.
Exactly.
Whereas he was kind of a static character, Clover, Crow is still a developing character, and I think that the fact this opens up for him to still be interesting and develop more as a person, and we get to see him change emotionally and potentially find a new boyfriend.
So TLDR, I feel like people shouldn't jump to conclusions until we're finished.
Yes.
I feel like there's still time, and if they are just friends, like, we can talk about that later.
Yes.
But I think it's too quick to call it queer baiting, or if the show is baiting, or if the show's not baiting, until we get Crow's next steps in his character development and what he's going to do next. If he goes after Ironwood, there's a lot of potential for them to discuss that in a scene, because Clover trusted Ironwood with his life, and it was all of that stuff. And so, yeah, like, I know that some people are just like, you know, like, what does it matter if he's gay? Like, I don't see the baiting. Like, you guys have to sort of understand that I don't want to say it's confirmation bias, but there's bias on both sides. People are seeing Crow as gay because they have that sort of subconscious implication of what these lines mean, that these lines are flirtatious. The other side of it, if you don't think that Crow is gay, it's because you don't want to see... You know what I mean?
Or you just don't consider that.
It's both. Like, there's bias on both sides, and I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Could some of the lines have been flirty? A little bit. But do we know right now? No. And so I think that those little flirty lines, like, here's the thing, is that there's no one interpretation. Does that make sense? Like, you know what I mean? Everything's up to your own interpretation of the subtext. And you can't say, oh, well, there's no gay subtext there, because subtext.
Some people still don't think Blake and Yang are, like, in a relationship. So it's the same, and they had a similar kind of bias.
Yeah. And
that's
what I'm saying.
I don't.
You can accept that it's ambiguous, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
right at this moment, we don't know. And so I think that people being like, oh, they were just friends, it was so obvious, or, oh, they had something, it was so obvious. I don't think either side's obvious. I think it's somewhere in the middle.
In all fairness, after this video released, I was looking at Twitter, and there was a handful of people.
I'm gonna see what Eddie says, just because I'm kind of curious.
I actually opened up Eddie Reeves' Twitter account on my phone, but I don't currently, like right now, I don't see like a total shitstorm. Or at least I saw a bigger shitstorm when it came to Adam.
But yeah,
he just released this GIF of a woman going like, "Calm down."
Well, we'll see. But yeah, I think the thing is like about this situation in particular is we just have to see. We just have to wait. But yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Eddie Reeves also tweeted an hour ago saying when friends show their true colors. So that is putting on that friend thing.
Yeah.
So this could go either way.
But yeah, isn't that funny? Like, people were like, oh, like, Blake and Yang aren't gonna get together, you guys are reading too much into it, and then they did.
Oh, so let's look at...
So I don't think that you guys are great, at telling whether or not a character is gay. But I'm just saying, like, the same people that are like, oh, like, Blake and Yang, like, they don't have anything, like, you know, like, it's just, they're just really good friends, and then they end up getting together. Like, you guys have to understand that you guys are wrong.
I found something interesting on his Twitter account, a tweet he liked, and it was from a user Flavor of the Day. They tweeted at Eddie Reeves saying, I made a post about yesterday, but as an LGBT writer, this is why it is important for writers who plan on having LGBT characters in their series to be upfront about their queer characters' identities. Because when you're not, fans start to pick up on hints here and there and start to form these ideas, and the writers don't either conform or deny them. So they think their ideas are right, and then something happens to that character that they don't like, and then that's when the backlash starts. Being LGBT doesn't have to be a secret life. It's not a huge plot point. There's literally no reason for a writer to keep it a secret. A simple yes, no, is this character blank can help clear up so many miscommunications, and it'll hurt way less LGBTQ folks. In the long run, I urge you and the other writers to really sit down and think about this, and as a result of the latest episode, it will help a lot of LGBTQ fans feel more at ease about the end of the day. I guess, yeah, this is kind of... I think he liked these tweets as an acknowledgement of, like...
Okay, so Eddie is saying, generally the thought is to stay quiet about stuff like this, but I've never been a fan of that. I hear this perspective and would love to contribute to the conversation when emotions are more settled. I'm sorry some people feel like something was done to intentionally harm. Some of this is tricky to talk about, but at risk of stepping on toes, I will say that the show's content and the marketing decisions are not one-to-one, so hopefully that can be set aside later, but I get it. That's basically what he was sort of saying. Later. Is that, like, you know, what was promoted wasn't necessarily in line with maybe what they wanted.
Where are you seeing that tweet from?
He was replying. I'm looking at his replies. Yeah, so that's what he said. He was basically saying about the, you know, the marketing one-to-one. But yeah, I don't know.
It's certain. I'm not getting this tweet.
I see marketing. Unicorn of War is posting something as well, but I guess we'll get to that later. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen a fan of this. Yep. Okay.
So yeah, I do think that we should try to wait until. You know what I mean? I do think that we should try to wait to see what he says to Ironwood, because Eddie was saying that he'd like to contribute to the conversation after the volume's over. So I feel like that we should sort of wait. I feel like we should wait. And I feel like that's the best thing to do. Like, just wait until we see what Crow does and how this affects his development, because I could really see, because he's going on an Ironwood revenge plot, right? And like that's my own perspective, is he is sort of like, James will pay for this. That's the whole gist, right? And like with the James will pay for this stuff, it could be a situation where he, like, you know, goes to fight Ironwood and take down Ironwood and stop Ironwood, and like again, like I said, like Clover is was an unfortunate loss. He was a good he was a good leader for the Aesops. And then Crow is just like, he was more than just a pawn in your plan, James. Like, I cared about him. I loved him, right? If we have that sort of open confession later, I don't think that that's queer baiting. I think that maybe people are just jumping because Clover's dead. And I do understand people being upset about Clover being dead, but at the same time, I feel like we do need to wait, because Clover being dead does not invalidate Crow's identity. You do not need to be in a relationship to be gay, right? And so that's the whole thing. If they do something with it later, we just have to wait. We just have to wait and see. We don't know. Because maybe it will go into, yeah, we were best buds. Yeah, you
and
killed
maybe
my
they
bro.
really did intend it like that, and they just fucked up.
And like, yeah, because I mean, Eddie's even saying the marketing and what we want isn't necessarily one-to-one. And so I feel like that's basically an admission that maybe the marketing team kind of fucked it up. And so that's why, like,
because like shipping, they've always done that with shippy stuff, but
and so that's why I was looking at the chat and I'm like, guys, do you guys not understand? Like, there's open admission that maybe the marketing team was being a little teasy about it. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I do think that this will be a stepping stone in Crow's development because I think he is going to get revenge on Ironwood and stop Ironwood because this was an unnecessary death that is Ironwood's fault. And that'll be something that happens later and Crow can sort of fight Ironwood.
And that'll be another step in his process of finally learning to have some self-worth. Because I feel like he was like few steps forward, few steps back.
Yeah.
So I think it'll continue to be interesting. And I don't think they did it just to be malicious.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of didn't do it just to be malicious or as background characters or as throwaways, like Dragon Prince, if we're entirely honest.
Yeah.
With this, they had someone with, some people actually liked it.
Yeah.
A gay character isn't dying for just the will of another straight character if Crow is in fact not straight.
And so, again, like, we're talking in circles, but I do feel like we just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I feel like Ironwood is going to, like, get into an altercation with Crow, and then we can, like,
move forward. This could build up a really good Volume 8 where people are really at odds with each other and there's a lot of chaos.
How is it Ironwood's fault? Because Ironwood chose to do all of this while Crow, Tyrion, and Robin were all in the transport. So it's Ironwood being neglectful. He didn't even think about, hey, maybe I should wait until Tyrion's in prison and everything's okay. You know what I mean? Because Ironwood considered Tyrion stopped. But was he? No, right? So that's why I'm saying it's Ironwood's fault. Ironwood's the root of all this. Yeah, I agree with the chat. Ironwood basically is what started the fight. They could have waited until Crow and them got back home. That probably would have been a better idea until Tyrion was locked in a cell, but Ironwood sort of acted immediately and didn't even think about what Clover and Crow and all them on the airship could have happened.
All of this notwithstanding, and even this involved, I think that the voice actor for Crow gave a really excellent performance. It was a really shocking moment where you were left with a cry, and then as the credits roll, you just had to listen to the sound of the wind.
Of the wind and all that stuff.
It was really...
It was a moment!
It was very well done. I think it'll work well for Crow's character. I think Clover was very interesting. I think it was well, like, put together. Like, this betrayal isn't out of nowhere.
Yeah, Oz was a friend to Crow, but he betrayed him and sent him away. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Crow and Ironwood are really the only remnants of the original Ozpin team. Ozpin ended up betraying them, and so I feel like that it would be nice for Crow and Ironwood to reconcile, but at the same time it would also, be interesting for revenge.
As it stands, this scene, this death, I'm generally okay with, and I'll be more okay with contingent on certain things happening
Exactly.
later.
I feel like we just need to come back to it later.
Also, looking at this episode for more than just this scene, it was an amazing episode.
Yeah, it was.
It gave so many ideas. I love the fight scenes. I love the different moments with Neo. I love the moments with Tyrion. I love this moment.
It was such a good episode.
It was a good episode. I'm incredibly excited for the finale. I feel like it gives us a lot to talk about in these later videos.
Yeah, I'm so worried about next week.
People have been pointing this out more, that like, episode 1 of RWBY is like, I beat a low rent criminal, like from robbing a store, and I go to like a cool school, well I can have wacky adventures, and then like episode 90 of RWBY is like, we've been determined to be enemies of the state, and Crow kills a man. It's, or not, Crow doesn't really kill him, Tyrion kills him, and there is a death, like it's, the show is really matured. It's really kept up a very solid level of quality.
Good episode.
I didn't think that they would be able. I keep on saying this.
I
didn't think
they'd be able
to keep that
too.
after
I'm just like,
Volume 6. But
we've been screaming and flailing our arms and talking about how good Oscar's eyebrows are. Like, I'm so
all
tired
the just
now.
little details in this episode. It's been wonderful.
It's such a good episode.
I didn't know what the blowout would be.
I think we're not even at the blowout
yet. Because there's been so many blowouts, but then to have this and to have all of these fights, it's just fucking mwah. Like, man, all of these Jenga pieces are coming together.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for us, guys.
one of the better episodes.
We will see you guys in the other videos we're doing this week. People are asking for our predictions for the finale. Honestly, I have no fucking idea.
I think
it's gonna be
will come
Neo
up
versus
later.
Juniper, Cinder versus Winter, but I have no idea what Team RWBY is gonna go do.
I think that there's gonna be some grim invasion, so that by the beginning of Volume 8, they're gonna be here and they're gonna have their backs against the wall.
Honestly, I can't even think of what Team RWBY is gonna do next episode.
I have no idea. I think it's gonna be a whole season of the fall of Atlas.
Yeah,
it's like if those 5 episodes
and maybe a
of
little
the fall,
bit of trying to get to Vacuo. I don't know.
or maybe just leaving. I don't. That's what my best guess is that shit has gone from, because at the beginning, like, oh, this is so fun and happy and light.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's gonna
Do we
get
think
worse before
that
it gets better.
Clover has the most graphic death.
Oh, absolutely.
I still think Lionheart, even though we don't see it. I know it's not on screen,
Yeah.
but you can hear the noise, and I think that's enough.
That's pretty bad. Sometimes what you don't see is worth. However, that man was given open heart surgery with a sword.
I guess so. That's true. But that also begs the question of how sharp Crow's sword is, because I always thought it was more of a blunt object, but I guess it is.
I guess the inside. I guess
it is sharp.
I mean, his spine would disagree with your saying it was a blunt object.
People are also asking
Adam's death. This was
know.
more blood than Adam's death.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I still think Lionheart is so fucky, like, when you hear the noises. Because I think what you imagine is worse than what you see.
Yes, I think that's always true. Your imagination.
The volume doesn't feel finished. Well, it's because it's not.
I mean, there's still one episode.
It's not, but they're doing 2 volumes for
scene.
Atlas, remember?
Yes.
So this is like season 7 part
Atlas,
1, where the other one will be season 7 part
Atlas
2,
part 1, Atlas
in a
part
sense,
2.
right?
Like how the first 3 seasons were Beacon part 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would say.
Which I kind of like that they're switching it up. I kind of like the idea that RWBY is not predictable, because admittedly, like, I loved Volume 7, and I still feel very strongly about 5 and 4, but they were a little, you could see...
You loved Volume 7? You love Volume 3?
Or sorry, 4 and... because
you love Volume 4,
5...
6, and 5. Yeah.
Because, like, but you could see a pattern beginning to develop, like... Like, they stay at, like, a kingdom and a school. They move a place for a season. Kingdom or school move to a place. And the fact that they're
mixing it up.
That they're breaking that up, I think they're good. I think they could also break it up with Vacuole by, if they go there, Vacuole is already fucked over. We've talked about that idea in the past. Great episode.
So
Hurt
good.
my soul.
I really have to use the bathroom, so we gotta go. But yeah, guys, we will see you guys later. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Thank you guys for anyone that sent a super chat. That was nice. Patreon, if you guys want to see our reaction early, again, it's only $5. And you guys get all our other reactions too. So Avatar, Code Geass, My Hero, like everything. It's a pretty good deal considering how much I put out. But yeah, so we will see you guys like the chat's like Cal's gotta pee. Like, yeah. Like, it's been so long. How long have we been streaming for? What time is it? Like, is it still Saturday? We don't even know. But yeah, we will see you guys later. All right. Bye, guys.